We are just about ready to get playoff racing underway.
16 drivers in all with the same goal of hoisting the trophy following Phoenix.
McDowell got into the wall.
And that's it.
Kyle Busch will nail the outside wall.
Go to the garage. Done.
We're running like we got wrecked, so that's what you get when you run like.
He was head first into the wall.
I have no brake. Brake light exploded.
A near perfect race for Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin and the winless streak will end tonight.
Cover 500 for winner, Denny Hamlin.
Steve, when playoffs starts, it seems as though the pressure gets ramped up, and we saw Denny Hamlin rise to the occasion. He pushed that pressure down and got the win at Darlington.
Yeah, a bunch has been made about the mistakes and the accidents at Darlington, but perhaps not enough made about the closing laps, that battle between Larson and Hamlin. It was like a heavyweight battle, and then Larson threw the Hail Mary in the last corner that none of us expected. And I think that's what I look forward to the most, is not who makes mistakes, but who steps up, who brings their A game when the pressure's the highest.
Is it a mistake already that we see Kyle Larson failed inspection twice, has to start at the back?
Yeah, there's only one way to characterize it. It is a mistake. It's unfortunate for the 5 car. They're going to go to it back at a track that they don't have huge history at, not great history, so he's going to have to find a way to recover. He's going to have a good night as long as he can miss all the action. We've showed the highlights, the accidents here. He's going to have to get a little bit fortunate and have a good car. We expect him to have a good car, but he's going to have to get a little bit fortunate with traffic.
How nervous should Kyle Busch be in a situation where he had an issue in week 1? Can he rebound from that and have a good night here or Bristol to make sure he advances into the 12th?
Absolutely. I was worried last week with his interview. Listening to him today in pre-race, I'm not worried anymore. He sounds like a Kyle Busch who's ready for the moment, ready for the playoffs. He's a champion for a reason.
Yeah, 2-time champion for Kyle Busch. We'll see if he can rise to the occasion. For a special salute, we now turn it over to public address announcer Tim Catalfamo.
Race fans, at this time, we ask you please stand and proudly raise your American flags as we honor those lives that were impacted by the tragic events of September 11, 2001. We take a moment today, 20 years later, to salute our first responders across this great nation and thank them and their families for their tireless dedication and sacrifices they make each and every day. Wave your American flags as they head onto the front straightaway.
NASCAR is like America's quilt. So many pieces put together, but definitely gives you a very warm feeling when the fans, the teams, everyone come together. Pretty special moment.
In their honor tonight.
So the field 2 by 2. Want to take a look at the starting grid, brought to you by Toyota. It will show Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin making up row 1, but we know that Larson will have to start this one in the rear.
Yeah, and that's a big penalty when you think that the front 16 spots all taken by playoff drivers. You see him, Hamlin, last week's winner, will be on the front row. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano back in row 3. Chase Elliott back in row 7. Next to his teammate William Byron. 2 drivers looking to have that big bounce back after accidents a week ago.
Yeah, guys that need good finishes back here in row 7 and row 8. We see Cole Custer. He'll also have to go to the rear. How about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting in row 12? Always runs well here at this track.
Yeah, track that I think he has a lot of confidence. He loves this short track. And I think that helps. When you come here, you have to have confidence coming in to think you're going to run well. This place is finicky, Rick. I've had good cars, bad cars, but it's relentless for 400 laps. We were talking earlier, it may be shorter on the clock than Darlington, but it is not any easier. This is a marathon for short track racing.
400 laps. Actually, let's have you break this one down for us.
Well, it's one of my favorite tracks, a 3/4 mile short track, Saturday night under the lights. 400 laps, 300 miles, the first stage, 80, the second stage, 155, final stage, 165. That fuel window, I don't think you need to worry about that. These guys are going to be screaming for tires before they go about 115 or 120 laps. So, like I said, long stages, right? We're going to see a competition yellow because of no practice around lap 30. That'll break up the first stage a little bit, but that second and third stage, they can test your physical fitness, your car's fitness, brakes, tires, everything.
Let's test our broadcasters' fitness. We want to bring in our drivers, Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And when I say test fitness, Junior, you actually raced on the track about 2 hours ago. How was it?
Well, racetrack hasn't changed much. You're going to see a lot of that tonight, beating and banging, trying to get underneath guys and make passes. Williams, he was a lot of fun to race with there. Got loose under Alex here. You're going to have that in the braking zones of the corners. The cars are really loose entering, so when you're underneath somebody, you're going to back the corner up, get loose on the inside of the guy, get to his door. You can see several guys make those mistakes. The toughest part of this track, though, I think, is pit road. I made that mistake of speeding. With this curved pit road, speeding is a real potential. We had a lot of guys with problems in May, our playoff drivers on pit road.
Both ends of this racetrack are very different. Off turn 2, the cars can be very tight. Wall comes up quickly. Off turn 4, track opens up, and it's hard to get the rear tires to hook up. These cars with all this power will be spinning them all the way down the front straightaway.
All right, 2x2 once again as we get ready to kick off the second race of the playoffs tonight under the lights at Richmond Raceway. Joe Gibbs Racing making up the front row after the 5 of Kyle Larson went to the back of the field. And Martin Truex Jr. wasting no time at all, showing why he thinks that he's one of the better short track racers now after going so long before winning his first short track.
Look at the outside lane right here. Kurt Busch, Joey Logano working on the outside of Harvick. Marty.
Truex got the lead. His teammate Denny Hamlin was not very happy with it. He was the control car and immediately said he took off first, meaning the 19, which you cannot do.
And NASCAR agrees. You're a black flag in Martin Truex Jr. Start of the race, you cannot beat the leader to the start-finish line. It's the only time of the race you can't do it, but you cannot beat him to the start-finish line. Clearly, Truex did right there.
We're not even one lap in. The first playoff car has made a mistake. Now you see the 19 turn left onto pit road. Dale Jr. just talked about how curved it is and the speed, Jr. Very important for Truex right here. Don't speed. Don't make this worse at this point.
Yeah, with pit road, the entry is in the middle of the corner. The start of pit road speed right in the middle of 3 and 4. That's unique to this racetrack only. Then the bend in the pits road. You can run faster through those bends. Then you slow down at the straight part. Then there's another bend exiting. You can pick your speed up there. If you get aggressive, you're going to get popped. Parker.
And Dale, this is exactly what his crew chief, Truex Jr.'s crew chief, James Small, said we cannot do coming to this race. He said we have all the speed in this 19 car. We just have to have clean races, not make mistakes. And that's obviously not what they've done here to start this race, the second race of the playoffs.
So he's back on the racetrack. He's about a straightaway in front of the leaders. We figure he's probably got some good pace in that car. Doesn't have to abuse it right now. He can hope for a caution to come out before those leaders catch him. And he can save those tires and try to keep this thing for the long run.
You know he's got a caution coming up at lap 30. Listen into his radio.
Black flagging me. He went before I did. Let him go first, and then he spun.
So he's saying that Hamlin went first but then spun the rear tires. So you're going to see right here. It's hard to tell who goes first, but in the end, Jeff, you said the rule. It doesn't matter. Under no circumstances can you beat the leader to the start-finish line. It's only for the original start of the race.
And to be honest with you, I don't know why Martin Truex doesn't know the rule. I mean, he's complaining he went before me. That doesn't matter. You cannot beat him to the start-finish line.
So Martin Truex Jr. Hit with a black flag, and so he had to come to pit road and serve that penalty, but he's still on the lead lap, but just in front of Denny Hamlin, who is leading this one. Kurt Busch running second, Logano, Blaney, Keselowski the top 5.
Right now, the whole field right on the bottom of the racetrack. We think on old tires, this track should open up a little bit, but what you want to do early in this run is get the left front and connect it to that yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. Denny Hamlin up the racetrack a little bit. Marty.
35th is where we'll show Kyle Larson starting this race. Already up to 28th. When I talked to Cliff Daniels about having to start at the back of the field tonight, he said, yeah, certainly doesn't help things. You don't want to do that at a short track. But if there is one short track where you can do it, Richmond is the place. He said, I told Kyle before the race, let's be patient. We don't have to have any magic tonight. Just make your way slowly through the field. Let's be in contention in stage 3. That's my biggest concern.
My biggest concern for this 5 car is not about the traffic. It's about the equipment. You know, you just have to take care of your brakes, right? You don't want to beat your car up trying to get through traffic. Then when you get to the front, you're going to have less car than the guys you're racing against. I know these cars seem indestructible, but fresh brakes and a cleaner race car is going to be an advantage later.
I'll be honest, you know, I mean, I know what you're trying to say, Steve, but I think those guys at the front of the field are running harder than the 5 is right now. The traffic is actually allowing him to calm down, back the corner up, be more patient. So he's actually probably using less tire, less brakes and all those things than these guys that are running in the top 10 trying to hustle to this competition yellow.
You sold me. I like it. I'm in. I'm in.
Well, Kevin Harvick, he's a 3-time winner here at Richmond. We're looking back off of his back bumper thanks to the Hunt Brothers Pizza onboard camera. He looks back at Christopher Bell. And Kevin Harvick still winless in 2021. Does he have to win to advance into the round of 12?
I don't think he has to win, but you know they're going to have to consistent their way in. Kevin Harvick's going to have to do his best job driving. You talk about those brakes already. 12 laps into this race, you can see the rotors glowing on Kevin Harvick's car. I don't think that's a problem. I know a lot of people have anxiety about that. These rotors are built to do that. That's what they're made to do.
If they're not glowing, they're not working.
And they get hot. Those rotors get really hot, like 1,000 degrees hot.
Well over operating. I mean, in the garage here, it's nothing to see 1,600 degrees after a run, which tells me, you know, 1,800 to 2,000 degrees on the racetrack. That's probably a little hotter than you want them all day, but you can run in the high teens for sure.
See way up in the top of the screen there, that yellow car, Joe Logano, searching up the racetrack just a little bit. Had to see if he finds any speed moving off the bottom of the racetrack.
Denny Hamlin out front. He started on the front row. He has the top spots under the lights at Richmond, and the rotor's already glowing. What a great opportunity to go inside the headset with access to NASCAR Scanner for only $4.99 for the playoffs. You can listen in on pit strategy and spotter communication, the crew chief calls. Visit NASCAR.com/scanner and you can start your subscription tonight. Riding along there, we saw the eyes, the hands of Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin already has caught up to some of the slower traffic. There we look back on Kyle Busch, and it was a $50,000 fine for what NASCAR deemed, wasn't safety, wasn't safe going into the garage area last week at Darlington after the crash. Obviously, Kyle very frustrated, said his day was done, so he makes the hard left turn, goes into the garage. What do you guys think about this, the $50,000 fine?
Well, I thought that, obviously that was kind of dangerous, but I want to pretend that he got fined for the S-bombs he dropped in his interview. I'm just going to keep that.
Does that make you feel better?
Does that make you feel better?
That makes me feel better.
Feels like you got your money's worth at the end of the day.
I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
You don't want to be the only one fined for saying an inappropriate word.
Yeah.
3 wide here.
He's been working hard trying to get around this 24. Put a lot of pressure on him. Williams slides up the track.
He gets back in front of him, though, so that's Kyle Busch now up into the 11th position. William Byron back to 12th.
Kyle up the racetrack right here. He's going to get a good run off the corner using that high line. Riding on board the bumper cam, the Toyota cam. Down into the corner here as well. A little bit up the racetrack. See if he turns across and comes off low for a straight run and accelerates. Pulls this 24 a little bit there on the acceleration. So that's how you can get off the corner better. Everybody struggles with drive-off. You put the gas down, you start mashing the gas pedal, and the rear tires just spin. It's the most frustrating thing. You see him wiggling the steering wheel. That's because the rear tires are trying to spin out from under the car.
You see he's not full throttle.
Yeah.
He's past the start-finish line before he can go full throttle on the front straightaway. The front straightaway is curved, and it's trying to spin the tires because you can't put both. The weight's not equal on both rear tires.
You see that 24 car close in and him drive away on corner exit. He tries this high entry, up even a couple feet, 2 or 3 feet, and then he turns the car and drives off the bottom so he can drive straighter. If you got the wheels straight, the front wheels, you can mash the gas more on corner exit. That's what that line's for. This 2 car here working the outside as well.
I think Harvick's actually driving underneath him right here.
I've been wondering about this racetrack, this tire, the combination, whether it would provide us with multiple grooves.
Well, one thing's for sure, from the fastest lap to what they're running right now, they've already lost 2 seconds. In 28 laps, they're running 2 seconds slower than they were, so long run speed is going to be really important tonight.
Christopher Bell trying to get to the outside corner of the 2 car, and he knows as soon as he can get to the outside that Brad can't put the throttle down on corner exit. When you're on the inside of somebody, it's so hard to use the gas. Coming off low like that. Look at that, 3 wide. Christopher Bell does not want to give up that outside. Riding on board Brad Keselowski's car, bumper cam here, the Ford Performance Cam.
He's going to have to get the outside this time. He'll have to give it up. We'll see what Chase Elliott does. They kind of see they got Keselowski in a bad spot. His car's not driving well.
It's so hard to make this pass on this outside. Trying to get the power down, trying to beat that guy. Look here, this lap car, trying not to get pinned right there in between the lap car. Oh man, he runs him tight. The 20 is real tight on the 2, and that hurts Brad's ability to throttle up here.
Why is the outside? Yeah, why is the outside better on the exit? Because you just don't have to turn the wheel as much.
Well, contact right here. Chase Elliott into the back of Brad Keselowski. Caution's out.
That's that competition caution we were expecting on or about lap 30. And so a good thing for Martin Truex Jr. He made it to the competition caution without going a lap down.
And Jr. mentioned how tough this pit road is because of the curvature. It's also tough because of the size. 31 cars on the lead lap. Very important for these drivers to understand who's in front, who's behind, get pointed out. Do whatever you have to do to not be blocked in your pit stall.
Well, the 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E GT Performance Edition could be yours. Enter for your chance to win this high-performance Ford. Plus, get an entry for an instant prize, a $100 gift card during tonight's race. Just go to NASCAR.com/Ford Playoffs promo now to enter. Steve, I don't think you're eligible. You put your phone back away.
Rick,
you can't apply for this one.
I didn't.
But everybody at home can, so make sure you take advantage of it. How about Brad Keselowski in this race? He's a two-time winner here at Richmond. Does he have to show us that he's a top 5, maybe contend for a win type driver tonight?
Well, when I think of the Penske cars, I think about these short tracks, full power. So I'd like to see some performance out of the 2-car. Starts right here on pit road, Parker.
Right, another driver hoping for that same performance. We Joey Logano in that 22 car. He was just a little tight in the center and then loose on the exit for the 22. So before Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, and air pressure adjustment, Marty.
See Ryan Blaney top right of your screen in the number 12 car. He hits his pit stall, so his car is free on entry, which is what you don't want here at Richmond. Also free on exit. How about Denny Hamlin, bottom left? He's led all 30 laps to this point. Said the car is, quote, edgy, especially on throttle, but on the extremities, on entry and on exit of the corner. Well, Kurt Busch with the same problem. He said 2 free off of turn 4. And how about the stop by the one bunch? They put Kurt Busch in the lead, Rick.
Yep, a little bit closer to the front, and he wins the race off of pit road. Hamlin drops a spot. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Toyota. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Visit GoCreditOne.com. And by Sonic Grilled Cheeseburger. For a limited time, only at Sonic. So the one of Kurt Busch wins the race off of pit road. But Marty, that's a little bit of a, I guess, strange occurrence when that's not his normal pit crew.
How about the job by that team with 4 new pit crew members, 4 guys out because of COVID-19 contact tracing. The front tire changer, Michael Roberts, the front tire carrier, Matthew Simmons, the rear tire changer, Ken Posiga, and the jackman, Shane Wilson, all coming over from the 42 team, and they deliver on stop 1, putting Kurt Busch in the lead. Nice job, fellas.
Well, great job by the 1 team. Unfortunate situation for the 18. A penalty for the 18 car out of Joe Gibbs Racing for equipment interference. Figure that one out. Let's listen into the 18.
They got us for a penalty for equipment interference. We got to drop to the back. That exists? It exists, for sure.
I agree. It exists for sure, and the 18 will start at the back as his teammate Denny Hamlin will try to take that lead back from Kurt Busch, who took it over on pit road.
Door to door, side by side for the lead. Hamlin trying to fight back on the outside here.
I'll be impressed if Hamlin can make this outside work. He knows this place really well. He's going to throttle up off the corner. He's just clear of the 1 car. Kurt's going to fall into 2nd place. That's a power move right there to be able to do that on the outside. Kurt back to the inside, though. Down into 3. Trying to slow that thing down, keep that left front low.
Kurt Busch rather, he's got to turn the wheel a lot more. He's got to really pitch the car off to keep from being in the side of the 11 car.
Logano's going to go to the outside here as these two guys battle, try to get to the quarter panel. He's there on the one car. Off turn 2 down the back straightaway. Joey Logano asserts himself into this battle for the lead.
His teammate right behind him. Let's see which way he tries to go around, Kyle. Kurt.
And Kurt struggling right there off turn 4, just trying to get into a rhythm. Slides up the corner, gets loose. The 12 is going to have an opportunity down the back straightaway. He looks to the inside into turn 3. Kurt working the wheel there. That car is moving around a lot. He's trying to fight off this battle right on the roof cam. The Advanced Auto Parts camera. Oh,
big hit there for the one of Kurt Busch.
That looks a lot. Yep, that looks a lot like a left rear tire.
Yeah, you see the tire off the wheel right there, and Bubba Wallace drives over it. Wow.
It's going to drag it.
Bubba Wallace was at the back because of a speeding penalty, but the one of Kurt Busch, you call it, Junior, looked like a left rear flat as quickly as that spun around.
Yep. He looked like he had his hands full for about a lap and a half there.
Rear somehow.
It's good to hear him talking to his crew, trying to explain to what happened. Let's take a look and see. He looked like he had his hands full. I didn't remember seeing any contact with him in another car, but the left rear is losing air as he's running right here. He's chasing the back of the car. You can see his hands on the steering wheel, moving a lot more than the rest of the competition.
The lettering's gone on the left rear already.
There it is, and around, and it's such a hard hit. That wasn't a left rear to left front or a left front first. That was all door.
There's nothing that he could do. This thing, everything's good, then immediately, you see it's down, immediately around it goes, and like you said, Junior, a flat impact on that left side door. Just caught him by surprise, but you're right. It looks like the lettering's off that left rear tire.
You know, we can roll it back a little bit, but I don't believe there was any contact with him in another car. Wonder how this air come out of the tire. What was the problem there? You see the AMR guys getting him into the ambulance, going to give him a good checkup in the infield care center, but his day is done. That was such a hard hit. We see so many hard hits down in turn 1 at this racetrack. You just really don't realize how fast you're going here until you're out of control.
And how disappointing. I mean, this team has brought speed. They brought speed tonight, and now they're going to be in a deficit at Bristol trying to make the next round of the playoffs.
Well, he won't be happy right now, but Bristol's been a great track for Kurt. They've got great speed in their cars right now.
So the caution has come out. Kurt Busch, left rear tire goes down and into the wall. It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Richmond. The telecast presented by Toyota. Speaking of Toyota, the Toyota Camry TRD is leading the field as the official pace car for tonight's Cup race.
We just saw Kurt Busch go around with a flat left rear tire. We went all the way back. This is coming to the green. I want you to really focus on the left rear because the Goodyear lettering, let's take a look right there. There's already no Goodyear lettering on that. And there's no damage or anything. The tire to me looks lower than it should. Now we know they go with very low air pressure. That looks lower than the cars around him, kind of by the naked eye, which tells me it either had a leak. We've seen valve stems get damaged during pit stops. You can run over something as silly as it may sound. And then right here is the result. But Junior, to your point, no Goodyear lettering, but I didn't see any damage where he had hit anybody. Perhaps it was just so low that it rolled over under yellow and took the lettering off the sidewall.
Yeah, that's going to be a mystery, I think, for a while for these guys to figure out on just what happened there, and does the rest of the field have to be concerned at all about this? Marty?
Hey, Junior, they're trying to solve that mystery right now, and the crew did review the video from their onboard cameras on their helmets of the pit stop. They did not hit any valve stems. That would be a possible scenario of where that tire would have gone flat. So it left pit road clean, and Kurt came on the radio and said, somehow we cut a tire. That was his only reaction to what happened out on the racetrack.
These are the nights I don't miss as a crew chief. You do everything right, and you literally run over something somewhere on a 3/4 mile racetrack, and now your playoff hopes are a much more uphill battle.
Yeah, already below the cut line. You see now 2 points down.
Steve, the other thing that could happen is there is a real advantage in running really low air pressure in that left rear. Could they have put just really low air pressure and damaged the sidewall?
I mean, it's possible, but normally you damage it under green. It looked to me like it already had damage coming to the green where they hadn't even run any laps at speed yet. But yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Like, see how they're weaving it back and forth? If it already had a leak, I think it could roll under. Either way, result's the same.
Result is Kurt Busch out. He'll be scored in the 37th position. Field approaching the Geico restart zone.
What a great launch by the 11. Blaney as well clears on the inside. Just so hard to restart. When you're not the control car, you just gas it up when the leader goes and spin the tires. Everybody has to wait behind you.
Denny Hamlin up front, Ryan Blaney running in that second spot, and his Penske teammate just behind him in the 22 with Joey Logano.
Chase Elliott using that outside to get by Kevin Harvick up to 4th place.
Eric Almirola on the outside of Brad Keselowski off of turn 2 right here. Now with Reddick on the inside, Brad jumps to the outside of Harvick. That 2 car trying to find a little pace here, join his teammates up front.
Keselowski using the high line. So is Eric Almirola.
Not a big surprise to see the RCR boys up front are running well tonight. We saw that 3 car of Austin Dillon run so good here last year.
It's Tyler Reddick in the 8th. RCR teammate.
Kyle Busch all the way back in the 25th position before the accident with his brother Kurt. This is the pit stop. I want you to watch this tire that rolls away at the front of their car. It not only gets away from their team, but you see where it goes? It goes into the 77 pit box. That's why it's not an uncontrolled tire. It's equipment interference because it interfered another pit stop. Basically an uncontrolled tire termed differently because where it ends up, result the same, penalty for the 18. Dylan.
Right, guys, it's just another hurdle, obviously, for this 18 bunch to overcome after that disastrous result last week at Darlington. Talked with Ben Bayshore, the crew chief, this morning, and he wasn't panicked. He said, I don't feel like we're in a must-win. We're in a must-run really good. So, obviously, that's another issue that they kind of have to overcome. But I think Kyle's experience here, Ben's experience on top of the box is going to pay dividends for them throughout this entire playoffs, and certainly in a situation like this where you are on your back foot a little bit. You've got to dig deep. You've got to figure out a way to overcome any sort of issue you've got. And they're just going to leave it in the hands of their driver to do what he does best. And he gets around this racetrack pretty well, obviously, with 6 wins. So no panic down here in the 18 pit yet. Long way to go still on this one. They know they've got a great driver behind the wheel.
This is a car I kind of had circled. I wasn't sure what to expect out of the 10 of Eric Almirola. I didn't see that major win he had at New Hampshire coming. Another short track, while it's a little bit flatter, the concept's the same. Low downforce, a ton of horsepower. So I was waiting to see how the 10 ran tonight. Because, guys, you know, when I think of Eric Almirola, some of the great runs we've seen over his career, he's had some really good runs here at Richmond.
Yeah, this is definitely his kind of racetrack. It seems that he has racetracks he really favors. I remember in the 43 car years ago, just really competitive, having some of the best runs for that team here at Richmond. So no surprise, he's had good pace in this 10 car here before. He'll be up there all night long working away, and you'll see him in the top 10 when this race is done. Parker.
Right, Dale, and I actually spoke to his crew chief, Mike Bugarevich, just about that exact topic, and he said, you know, not just here, Phoenix, he mentioned New Hampshire, obviously this place, so places you use the brake, 750 horsepower, you've got to balance that. That's right in Eric Almirola's wheelhouse. This team feeling very confident coming to this race here, thinking that they can parlay some of that speed you saw at New Hampshire here, this worn-out short track.
Almirola, one of just a few that avoided any of the carnage that took place at Darlington a week ago. And look at who's behind him just now, one spot. That's Kyle Larson, who started in the back of the field.
Well, it's impressive what the 5 car is doing. Equally impressive is what the 19 of Truex is doing. You see Larson go through, 2 cars behind him. The 19 of Truex, lap 2, he was on pit road with a penalty. So both cars shows good speed so far, about 57 laps into this race.
And Parker has caught up with Kurt Busch as he's been released from the infield care center.
Right, Rick, very glad to see that Kurt is all right after that hard hit. Did you have any warning that the left rear tire was coming off the car, basically?
Yeah, I'm just impressed with our speed and the way we unloaded and had that first 30-lap run. And then after the pit stop, my wife has this word, she used it with her horses. She says, it's something about wonky. Like something in the left rear wasn't right. I'm like, guys said they got the tire tight. We made an adjustment, and there was no rub, and the left rear let go. And I was just radioed to him like how loose the car was. Something happened with that left rear. It let go, and it let go of our points, and it let go of our whole season right now. Like, I don't know what we're gonna have to do at Bristol other than win, but hats off to everybody at Ganassi. Sweetie, I'm all right. Family, I'm all right. But left rear took off on me. And now we got to dig out of this hole and give it our best. But thanks to Monster, thanks to Chevy and Ganassi. Kind of sucks.
A lot of questions unanswered for Kurt Busch. This one team, you better believe they'll be looking at all the data they can to try and figure out what happened there, guys.
I feel like I can understand wonky, though. I believe that left rear definitely had a slow leak, just never came in.
Denny Hamlin up front, leading Ryan Blaney here from Richmond. You can download the official app of NASCAR, and you can follow the action with free live scoring, in-car cameras, and radio broadcasts. Just search NASCAR in your app store to download and start a free trial tonight. Looking back on the drivers, always fun to see the eyes of the drivers and their hand movement. Also, great to look at this racetrack from a different perspective. And we want to thank Geico for giving us our aerial coverage this evening. Short track racing under the lights from Richmond. A beautiful view. And it's Ryan Blaney trying to stay in front of teammate Joey Logano for that second spot, Marty.
And Rick, stage points on the line here in 12 laps, 13 laps actually. Stage 1 coming quickly to an end. Yes, Rick, when you were doing your stats research today, it was not a misprint. Ryan Blaney has never finished in the top 10 here at Richmond. When I talked to Todd Gordon about that earlier this week, he said, you know what, I know what the stats say, but how we ran in the spring, we finally learned something that we felt like we could cling to, and we think it's going to pay off. And boy, has it. Blaney having maybe his best ever run, trying to get those stage points and hold off his teammate Logano, who is charging hard there.
Yeah, he's heating it up, and I did look at those stats, Marty, and I still put him in my fantasy lineup. So I don't know, maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment, but I think Ryan Blaney has got some things going on right now. He also has his hands full with Joey Logano. Logano's so strong at this racetrack. And now Chase Elliott coming into the picture in the 9.
You're a braver man than me, because both the 22 and the 9 are in my lineup. So I didn't have room for Ryan Blaney.
Okay. And here comes that 9 of Chase Elliott. Going to follow the 22 into the turn 3 here. As Blaney on the outside, we'll see if he gets shuffled out. Chase Elliott trying to get by him on the inside.
Did an interview with Blaney a few days ago, and it's pretty interesting talking to him about him watching Chase Elliott win that championship. He said, yeah, it's cool, but I was jealous. I want to be that guy. This is his best chance for a championship this year. They've had a lot of momentum coming into these playoffs. We saw Chase Elliott drive up into 3rd, but his teammates, Alex Bowman back in 14th, not running well, doesn't have the pace. William Byron restarted 14th on that restart, falling back to 19th. William Byron struggling also.
Not out of the ordinary. The 5, the other teammate there at Hendrick Motorsports, is running 6th right now, Kyle Larson.
6th and tracking down Keselowski for 5th with 8 laps to go in the stage. I mean, this will just add one more impressive feat for the 5 of Larson. He's just going to turn left, pull up next to Brad Keselowski. He makes it look way easier than it is.
And Steve, it rips the heart out of your competition. They all know he had to start in the back. They know he was penalized, and here he is in 5th place with 7 laps to go in stage 1. I mean, it just shows to his competition, we're going to take the wins away. We're going to win this championship, Marty.
And the fastest car the last several laps. So maybe he was following Dale Jr.'s advice, taking it early, being so good here on the long run for Kyle Larson. I think the bigger picture for this race team, they came here in the spring. Cliff Daniels told me it was by far our worst race of the year. Ran 18th, finished 18th that day, and they knew they had to come completely different. So who do they borrow some setup notes from? How about their teammate, Alex Bowman, who won the race here in the spring? Put a little bit of that in the 5 car tonight, and it has come to life. Kyle Larson from the back to the top 5, 6 to go in stage 1.
Kyle's car is working so good. He's able to go in high and enter low, or exit low off the corner and make an easy pass. Also watching him run lower on the front straightaway. This place is so worn out. It appears that a lot of drivers have learned that running lower down the front straightaway is better for the tires over a long period of time. Watching a great battle as well right here between Logano and Elliott for 2nd place.
Chase Elliott had his left side tires all the way on the apron off of turn 4. Parker.
Well, Dale, as you pointed out there with that lower line on the front straightaways, we watched these 2 battle in the closing laps of this stage. I've talked to a couple drivers about this, and some didn't want us to talk about it because they felt like they found a secret being able to go down there. Oh, look at that little bump in the 22. That's awesome to see how Chase Elliott. But some of the reasons some were giving me, maybe the grip down there just is a little higher and you don't use those rear tires as much going lower to see the 9 trying to complete the pass in the 22.
So where the cars have been running for years has kind of polished that lane. And I think when you do move out of that lane, there is a little more grip there. That way you don't spin the tires as much and beat them up down the straightaway. Because you see earlier in the race, Kyle Busch couldn't get wide open throttle on the front straightaway. Can't even get wide open because it's going to spin the tires so bad. So anywhere you can find grip, you're going to go to find it.
Less than 2 laps to go, and manufacturer parity here. You have a Toyota, a Chevrolet, and a Ford running 1, 2, 3 here at Richmond.
This battle right here is intense.
Elliott has the advantage now as they come to the final lap of stage 1.
See Chase clear of the 22, but doesn't move up the racetrack. Running that lower line. It's shorter, but it's also a place where he can apply more throttle, get more drive.
12 top 5s already in the 2021 season, but his first win came a week ago. Denny Hamlin is going to win stage 1 at Richmond. And now he has won 4 of the last 5 stages at this racetrack. He is so good. Calls it his home track from just outside of Richmond. Chase Elliott also grabbing stage points. Logano, Larson, Blaney top 5, Chastain, Keselowski, Truex Jr., Harvick, and Almirola rounding out the top 10. Federated Auto Parts 400 salute to first responders from Richmond Raceway. And pit road was still closed, so the crew gets just a little bit more time to prepare, be ready.
Now there's this compromise by all the crew chiefs. You know, your driver's been out there, he's telling you how the car is driving, you know the track's going to change, you see the wedge wrench stuck to the helmet. Chris Gabehart right here, I don't know if he, you know, his challenge is he's led all the laps. So, you know, how good is your car? Do you have to make adjustments? For the rest of the crew chiefs, what adjustments slow the pit stop down the least? With only 5 pit crew guys, this isn't like the days of 6 or 7. If you're going to come over pit wall and start turning wrenches, it is going to slow the pit stops down, and as equal as it is, you will lose spots.
Tires so important here. at Richmond as we see the field now on pit road. Parker.
Right, and Joey Logano lost second place, finished that stage, and Chase Elliott, he came across radio and just said, I lost all my turn there, meaning that car was not turning the center how he wanted. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and an air pressure adjustment for Joey Logano. Dylan?
And Parker, Chase Elliott is in from the second spot. Said that he drove the car differently on that second run after the caution to try and make it last longer. Car still wasn't better, so still not exactly to his liking, but just 4 tires and fuel for the 9, Marty.
Boy, Dylan, since these playoffs have began, Denny Hamlin has deposited now 7 playoff points into the bank. Said the car was 80% better after the first changes, but when he pushed hard, it got too free. A tight race off pit road between he and Chase Elliott. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson to the center, much more manageable for him. 35th to 4th in stage 1 for Kyle Larson, Rick.
The 11, 9, 22, and 5, their crews holding serve. Keselowski grabs a couple spots. Go full throttle with Wi-Fi speeds worth celebrating. Fast internet for a faster everything. Can your internet do that? NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Richmond. This telecast presented by Toyota. Let's go to the Peacock pit box and DJ, KP, and Brad. What have you guys seen so far?
A lot of Denny Hamlin. Winning and confidence is a wonderful thing. You know, he's been good all year, but certainly this is a racetrack that he comes to with a lot of confidence too.
Yeah, we see Denny Hamlin because they're sitting here on the pit box. Nobody else has seen him. I'm telling you, because he's going. But I've seen the Fords. There's 5 Fords in the top 10. When is the last time that we've been able to say that the Fords have been a force, not a force, but have been relevant tonight?
Yeah, I agree. Joey Logano's been really, really strong, and I expect him to be here at the end of the night. But hey, that guy in that 5 car, they put him in the back. They put him outside, and lo and behold, Rick, here comes that number 5.
He started out on Laburnum, man. He just drove through the tunnel and caught up, man.
Surprise, surprise. That's right. Kyle Larson from the back and now contending toward the front. Daniel Suarez with a penalty on pit road.
Come on, Rick. Throw it out there. Equipment interference. It's the term of the night.
It's the second one we have seen.
Small pit boxes. Your equipment gets away. It gets into another pit box. It can happen. We're going to see that again next week at Bristol.
You're going to call it?
Oh, yeah.
Equipment interference?
For sure.
The trifecta.
Yeah.
All right.
Patience interference, equipment interference. There's going to be a lot of interference.
Back underway, field approaching the Geico restart zone. It's Hamlin and Elliott. Hamlin with a great launch that time. And to the inside, Joey Logano will be fighting for that second spot with Chase Elliott.
Chase dives. He did. He drove it way down into 1.
He sent it down in there, and he's still with an opportunity here going into turn 3. Right on the back bumper of this 11 car. Both guys throttling up about the same down the front straightaway. The 9 looking a little bit low here. Again, deeper into the corner on entry. Denny up the track just a little bit. Chase is right there. Look to the inside, down the back straightaway into turn 3.
trying to take the lead away. Chase Elliott in the 9, trying to get to the inside of the 11.
Denny's just so strong. Chase not done fighting, though. Chase going to go right to the yellow line.
This 9 car looking great, guys. Denny's going to let him have it. Maybe try a crossover. He doesn't have that opportunity. Then he's going to settle back, not wear his tires out, running that high line, get back to the bottom of the racetrack, try to find a rhythm in this 11 car.
Let's see if he runs that low line on corner exit up the racetrack right now on new tires. Let's watch him if this race goes on and this run goes longer if he starts running that low line.
Great battle right here with Truex and the 5 of Larson. Them running side by side, has all these guys behind him kind of waiting. Look 3 wide here, the 42.
Chastain doesn't care. You know, he's not in the playoffs, but he's here to win. Larson's slow.
He texted me this week. He's like, I told him, I said, risk assessment going into turn 3 with 3 wide, going into turn 1. Of Darlington. We laughed about that. Here he is again tonight. Going for it. He doesn't care about these playoff drivers. He's out of here to try to win him a race. Larson back to the inside with a crossover move.
Yeah, that's Ross Chastain that just passed Kyle Larson, the hottest driver in NASCAR this year.
And look at the acceleration on the top, driving away from the 5. The 42 is quick.
You know who's watching this that's heartbroken is Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch had that problem. His teammate, Ross Chastain, has speed. That has to make Kurt know that his car was going to be good. He had speed early in the race. Insult to injury.
I know that Ganassi loves to see this because they have stayed committed to Ross throughout all this over the years. The Xfinity program, they believe in this kid. Dylan.
Well, and guys, they're certainly riding that wave of momentum after a really strong run at Darlington last week. Feel like that on that 42 car that they came with kind of what they ended with in the spring. They were really happy with that, adjusted on it even further still, and now you see Ross again battling here inside the top 5. A couple quick notes, too. Keep in mind, before this race, there was a little bit of a pit crew shuffle amongst the 42 and the 1 car. With the 1 out, some of those crew members that were pulled off of the 42 and put on the 1 car have returned back to the 42 car since their car, the 1 car, is out of the race. So a couple of those guys came down in Monster Energy suits. They've since changed and put on the, actually, no, they haven't changed. They're still out here in the Monster Energy uniform. So a couple of guys going over the wall that were supposed to be pitting Kurt Busch's car earlier this evening, but back on the 42 now.
Riding on the Ford Performance camera, Brad Keselowski hassling his teammate Joe Logano. And I've always wondered, you know, this year with Brad moving on to Roush, going into next season, would this team kind of peter through the playoffs? Where was the pace for this 2 car? Where was the speed? Looks like he has it here tonight. This has been a great racetrack for him. Marty.
And Dale, I think that plus the fact that Brad puts pressure on himself, honestly, when he comes to Richmond. You mentioned it, great racetrack for him. Won this race last year in the playoffs. You see him waving at Joey Logano saying, hey, thanks for racing me nice there as Keselowski moves up to 3rd. But Brad will say, hey, I come into Richmond expecting to win, not finish top 5, top 3, to win the race. His car was brand new at New Hampshire. They felt like it was top 3 there. They expect it to run well tonight and expect to take it to Phoenix at the end of the year as well.
Having a good run here. If it equates to a good run at Phoenix, you could be looking at a championship. And speaking of champions, the reigning champion has just turned the Xfinity Fastest Lap, 22.768 seconds. As we see Ross Chastain now working the inside of Logano for that position.
Man,
Chastain's up to 4th.
Yeah, he just drove right around Joey off of turn 4 down the front straightaway. Joey's struggling right here. Fades back toward the 5 car, Larson. Ross continues to move forward. Look at that line down the front straightaway. He knows about that line. He's heard the rumblings in the garage.
You can't keep a secret down there.
You can't. I don't know whether it works or not, but these guys think it does, so they're down there trying it. And it's really something that you do to pay off on the long run. It's not a speed secret. It's going to improve the car right now, but on the long run, you hope that running that line is going to save your tires.
Trying to go back-to-back with great runs. Ross Chastain, top 5, chasing Chase Elliott. What do you get when you combine a grilled cheese with a cheeseburger? The new Sonic Grilled Cheeseburger. Made with 100% pure seasoned beef, ketchup, mustard, onions, Texas toast, and of course, plenty of delicious melty cheese. For a limited time only at Sonic. Coming up on Wednesday, make sure to tune in. NBC Sports on Sirius XM, NASCAR Radio Channel 20. That's live Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Jeff Burton will join Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone as those gentlemen will chat about not only this race this evening, but also looking forward to Bristol and another Saturday night race. The final race of round one for the Cup Series is now we're seeing Kyle Larson, Joey Logano fighting it out for the 5th spot, and Logano has it now. Parker.
Right, as we've seen, Logano sort of struggles. He's really working the wheel there as Larson got very close to him throughout this run, falling back a bit. You remember at the end of the last run, he got very tight in the center, so Paul Wolf tried to loosen that car up, and what happened was Joey came on the radio and said, well, all that did was take the back out of the racetrack, and I'm not turning the center any better. So that sort of adds insult to injury for the handling of that car as it starts to come alive a little bit here as we get later in the run. Behind him, behind Larson there, is that 19 car Martin Truex Jr. Remember, he beat Denny Hamlin to the line at the initial start of the race, had to come down for a drive-through, and then proceeded to drive all the way up to 8th to finish stage 1 as you see Kyle Busch going around him there. A great comeback as we saw that 5 pass a lot of cars. That 19 was pretty quick, but very loose. Actually describe it as sideways right now, Marty.
Parker, we mentioned Alex Bowman won here back in April, sitting in 13th right now. They've made improvements on the run before this. As spotter Kevin Hamlin said, it looks like Alex is trying to have to turn about 6 times getting into turn 1 especially. They have fixed the entry. Now the problem is the exit of the corner. Alex said a moment ago to Greg Ives, getting too tight, middle and late in turns 1 and 2, Dylan.
And Marty, one of the other Joe Gibbs Racing cars, Christopher Bell, it has been a struggle so far for them today. Finished 4th here in the spring, felt like they didn't have the balance quite right then, but still ran well, so was pretty optimistic coming into tonight, but it has just gone bad, quite frankly. They have been all over the racetrack, tight, loose. Now the drive off, Christopher just said, is half of where it needs to be. So they've got some work to do on this 20 car as he runs just inside the top 15 right now. But one thing they don't want to do, very easy to get outside of your setup window here. That's something Adam Stevens was very cautious and very aware of in talking to him today. Don't want to over-adjust the race car too much and really get themselves off the mark, but going to have to find some speed in the 20.
A little bit further back as far as playoff drivers, Tyler Reddick is back there in 16th. Michael McDowell back in 18th, and as we documented earlier, Kurt Busch out of the race. He is going to be scored 37.
All right, Rick, your favorite time, a little pit strategy conversation. Okay. This second stage, 155 laps. We're going to have to run about 150 green. So it's real simple. You pit once, which means you run 75 laps, pit, and run another 75 laps, or you pit twice, which means you run 50, pit, 50, pit, and run 50 more. Positive to 1 pit stop. You will be on the lead lap most of the time. Negative, you're going to lose time, the math would say, to the guys that pit twice because new tires are such an advantage. The negative to pitting twice, you will be a lap down for a longer period of time, which makes my stomach a little bit of knots. You could be in the wrong side. What the rumor on pit road, the rumor in the garage, if you can believe the crew chiefs, which you can't, I can tell you from experience, is most of the field I expect to pit twice. So that means about lap 135 drivers are going to see guys come to pit road. But my question to you two, we talked about Darlington's difficulty to get on the pit road. I'm not sure it's much easier here at Richmond.
Well, the green flag is hard because the commitment box and cone is in the middle of the corner. It's right there. So as a driver, it's just really early. It's sooner than you think, and pit road speed begins there as well. So you can't be too fast, and you gotta, we've seen guys miss that box or get a right side tire above that box and get that penalty trying to get on the pit road.
It's such a tight radius corner also, you can't see it until you're almost to it. And so you really got to get slowed down way before you normally would if you were going into the corner just on a normal lap. If you drive in the corner that deep, you're not going to make it. You're going to miss pit road entrance. You got to back that entry up way up or you will just drive right by it.
There it is. There it is. I mean, it's so flat down there out of the way, you don't even know it's there until you're right on top of it. And then you got, you know, the corner, the pit road's bent until you get out here toward the front straightaway, so you can run faster in that bend. But how hard do you push it before you get busted? You see this bend right here.
I think this is one of the things we talk about without practice. that makes it so difficult. If they came here with practice, you would practice getting on the pit road at least once, maybe twice. You just can't do it at all. You just and you got to get it right at under green flag, and if you don't, it's a huge penalty.
It's 18 car right on board. Toyota Cam is driving up on these two Penske boys. Logano and Brad Keselowski right in front of him. He's closed in on him. He's right on his back bumper now. Off of turn 4, trying to get the power down. Contact with Joey. Joey spins the tires, gets the car loose. 18 gets into the back. Joey's been racing everybody, trying not to lose too much track position here. He's been racing these guys hard on the outside. We saw him burn up Kyle Larson's car down there earlier. Now Larson's fading back a few spots.
See, Logano got on the apron. When he did, he lost the control of his car. Kyle Busch right behind him got into the back of him.
Yeah, Logano is at a point right now in the top 10, like running 5th. He's like, I can't give up a lot more spots before we start to lose this track position, and then, you know, the day kind of goes south. You lose too much track position. He's battling on the outside of his teammate here. Dylan.
Well, guys, you see Joey battling there with the 18 as Logano goes around his teammate here off of turn 4. But talking about Kyle Busch, you know, they obviously came into this race in a little bit of a points hole, but wanted to make sure that they just had a good solid day today so that they didn't have to go into next week and perform any sort of like Hail Mary effort, just last-ditch effort just to save their season. So I think you see Kyle maybe being a little bit aggressive here because doesn't want to obviously put them in a bad spot, but certainly wants to give them more of a buffer heading into Bristol next week where we know anything can happen. So Kyle's been up on the wheel here, hasn't been exactly thrilled with the balance of the race car, but again, taking it into his own hands, putting them in as best spot as they can be in so that they leave here in a comfortable position before they head to Bristol next week.
Keselowski dropping a couple spots as the 18 has been by, and now the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. looking to make the pass as well. So as quickly as the 12, the 22, and the 2 were all up inside the top 8. Now they start to fall out of those nice positions. Sunday night football. Khalil Mack and the Bears visit the Rams. Their new quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock. How about Thursday and the way it started? The Bucs Cowboys and Tom Brady. What a performance.
For Tom Brady's performance. How about Dak Prescott? It was an old school heavyweight quarterback battle. So much fun to watch. My wife, the converted Tampa fan, was happy in the end. But
and that's because of Gronk, right?
Oh, because of Gronk. Because of Gronk. That's it. as we watch this battle on the racetrack. Pit road picking up. Leader Denny Hamlin is taking the left-hand turn. Excuse me, second place Denny Hamlin is taking this left-hand turn onto pit road.
Tyler Reddick's down there. They're getting service done on the 8th. Marty.
So, Rick, here's the game. If you're Chris Gabehart, crew chief for Denny Hamlin, you want to get to pit road, be the first guy on pit road of the playoff drivers, and they did that. Gabehart called him to pit road on the backstretch. Hamlin reacted quickly, got down to pit road speed. Nice entry onto pit road. You see everyone else now following. He asked Denny, do you need more drive off? He said, I think so. I just know I'm losing a lot of time off turn 4, Dylan.
And here is the race leader, Chase Elliott, has been pretty happy with his race car. Hits his mark, they'll go around and change the right side of the tires. And again, didn't make any adjustments last time. Doesn't look like any adjustments again. Ross Chastain has been very happy with his race car. They made some adjustments to try and free him up at the end of stage 1. Those helped. Those adjustments for sure made that Chastain car one of the best on the racetrack. Here's Kyle Busch in as well, hearing they're maybe having some radio issues, trying to confirm exactly what that is, but smooth service for Kyle, 4 tires and fuel.
So cycling through green flag pit stops. Martin Truex Jr. also down there, Parker.
Right, he was very loose. You see 4 Goodyear tires for him, just trying to tighten up that car with an air pressure adjustment for Martin Truex in 19.
We kind of bragged on Ryan Blaney about how good he was early on. This run, not good. He said, man, we are terrible. I don't know what happened. I don't know what to do to the car. Kind of lost all forward grip off the corner. That's a popular statement here at Richmond, just needing more forward bite.
Larson out front and leading as he now comes to pit road. So Larson headed right at you, Marty. And we're hearing 34 of McDowell, too fast entering. So penalty by one of the playoff drivers.
And a costly penalty at this short track.
Marty.
Yeah, he'll lose a lot of time with that. Kyle Larson making his way down pit road. A little bit of debris on the grill. Don't think they're too worried about that. Biggest problem, they said, was the drive off. They said it got worse on that run. Actually got worse the longer they ran as well. So Kyle Larson made a fairly significant change here. 4 fresh Goodyear tires as well. One of the later playoff teams to pit. We'll see where that puts them out in track position.
Debris came off the grill, as we see now the 2 of Keselowski going by that 20 of Bell. Bell is the race leader.
Look at these 2 drivers right here. Already have pitted 3rd and 4th currently, but the first 2 that have already pitted. And oh, Hamlin is going to get to the right rear quarter panel of the 9. Great battle here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the 9 car's as comfortable as he was before this pit stop. Denny sees that and pounces, man. He jumps on this opportunity to get around this 9 car, Chase Elliott.
He didn't look a little quicker. He looks a lot quicker right here. Makes me wonder if Chase isn't saving just a little bit. I don't know. Denny looks so much faster.
So Hamlin in front of the drivers that have been to pit road. Matt DiBenedetto has yet to come to pit road.
And he's the only one. We mentioned there may be some 2 stops, maybe some 1 stop. And now that Matt DiBenedetto has come to pit road, it looks to me that the entire field will break this stage up by using 3 sets of tires, making 2 pit stops.
So Hamlin back out front and has a 0.3 of a second lead over Chase Elliott. Ross Chastain is 3.5 seconds back from Hamlin, and he's running in the 3rd position.
And they're in lap traffic right now, trying to get these cars around this 7 with Corey LaJoie. Corey's been running really well here lately in the 7 car. Hoping to perform well again tonight. He's got these leaders here bearing down on him into turn 3. Logano right on the back bumper of Ross Chastain, who's right on the roof of Kyle Busch's car, the Toyota Cam down the front straightaway. Takes a good wide entry here. He's going to try to turn this car across the bottom as Logano slides up the track. Kyle sees that. He's like, here I come. Logano attack.
Yeah, Logano's not happy with his car right now. Can't keep the car on the bottom.
Oh, he's sliding up. Kyle's giving him a break right here. Being patient as he throttles up on the inside of Corey down the front straightaway.
And Kyle's able to roll the center better right here and then to the throttle. Just better than Logano. Parker.
Oh, Jeff, and I think you pointed out something really important about that 22 car. If you notice at the end of that run before they pitted, he started to go a lot faster. Well, a lot of these cars and teams put different adjustments in those cars. You know, you can change the brake bias front to rear, but you can also, some teams, change it left to right and sort of move that around, and that affects how the car is on entry. And Joey actually used a lot of those tools inside the car, got the car better on the long run there before they pitted. But remember, then you got to get all that back. So when you first come out of the pits and you're on those newer tires, it's not set up where you wanted it. Basically, you have it set up where it was late in the run, not for those newer tires. I think you're seeing a little bit of that adjustment for Joe Logano here early in the run on newer tires, trying to use those same settings he was using on older tires at the end of the run.
Parker, that's a great point. These cars drive completely different. Even on a green flag stop versus a caution, they drive different when you first go out on the racetrack with new tires versus under caution. When under caution, you get to swerve the tires back and forth. Under green flag, you don't get to do that. They drive completely different, and you don't know how it's going to drive. So all those adjustments available to you, you got to be dialing them out, figuring out what you need on a green flag stop.
You can use a lever to move the brakes toward the front, have more front, more rear brake. You can do the left to right, like Parker said. They can also, some of these teams will have a valve to shut off one brake, like the left rear. You can close the left rear up a little bit, so there's less brake pressure. And that, if you're trying to tighten the car up on entry, you can close off that left rear a little bit.
And you do that all within 24 seconds, because that's how fast they turn a lap here at Richmond. Still 84 laps to go in stage 2 of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Richmond. Telecast presented by Toyota. That's the gap between 1 and 2 as we take a look at the Toyota driver update. Denny Hamlin up front, 100 laps already. He has led. He's been up front 3 different times. Hasn't fallen too far out of this position either.
Chase Elliott right there behind him isn't losing a lot of ground to this 11 car. We're kind of wondering, maybe, like you mentioned, Jeff, this 9 car may have been saving a little bit initially coming off pit road with new tires. Maybe not hustling that car in the first 5 laps saves you so much tire life and ability later in the run. But we see him also moving around, searching, trying to find a better drive off, a better line, looking to where that car needs to be running the best. Dylan.
And Junior, I think part of the reason he's searching is that he fired off super tight on this run. So Chase came on the radio almost immediately when he pulled onto the track and said, I am really, really tight. So trying to keep the pressure on Hamlin, but also not abuse his stuff. So you'll see Chase start to move around here. Still a pleasant surprise for them to be running this far forward. Hasn't been one of their best tracks, so I think they'll take a second for now, Marty.
Battles all over the racetrack, Dylan, as Kyle Busch gets third on the bottom of your screen. Denny Hamlin trying to hold off Chase Elliott. Biggest problem for the 11 car, the entry to turn 1. In fact, Chris Gabehart said, try this entry. And he said, well, I tried that earlier on that wheel hop going into 1. I don't want to do that again. So entry into 1, that's where Hamlin is getting beaten by the 9 right now. But exit everywhere else, he's good.
Yeah, wheel hop into 1 would be, you know, too much of that would be catastrophic. Get into turn 1, you take this great big arc, you stay against the wall forever, you turn down in there, and you lose tons of grip. It's not unusual to be loose getting into turn 1 here. And if you add wheel hop to that, you better be ready for it.
So good. Denny Hamlin has been here, over 2,000 laps led. That's the most of all active drivers here at Richmond.
So a week ago at Darlington, we had no idea how the playoffs would kick off, but it ended up being probably the most catastrophic race for the playoff guys we've ever seen, 9 of which ended up outside the top 15. We didn't know if that would continue, and when you look at the leaderboard currently, the only car inside the top 14 who's not a playoff car is Ross Chastain, right there in the 42 at the bottom of your screen. Other than that, playoff cars 1 through 14, other than Chastain, then Dillon, then Reddick. I mean, every car is in the top 16 other than Michael McDowell, who had a penalty, and Kurt Busch, who's unfortunately had that accident. So the opposite. If you want to score points tonight, you better run good if you're a playoff car.
And remember, on the scoring on the left side, you see the lines underneath. Those lines that are yellow means they are playoff drivers. Denny Hamlin, his line under his name is white. He has already advanced into the round of 12.
A little bit of lap traffic right here for opportunity for this 9 car to get more aggressive. Drives right into the turn 3 on the back bumper of Denny Hamlin. Slow down this front straightaway.
It's been interesting between Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. They have been separated by 1/10 of a second, as far as one will run, say, a 24.80, the other one runs a 24.70, and then they switch. And it's been back and forth each lap. Now we're seeing Chase really put the pressure on Denny Hamlin.
He runs that. Yeah, he high. Went really high into 3, and then
look how low.
Yeah, then turn left to try to make that work down the front straightaway.
And these cars in front, they're not, you know, they're not slow. They're hanging right on the back bumper. These lap cars not driving up to and by them really quickly. So once Denny does start to get to the inside or the outside of one of these lap cars, this is going to give this 9 an opportunity. He's right on the quarter panel right there. As Denny tries to go low on the 99, this gives Chase an opportunity here.
And this all is going to depend on what Suarez does in that 99. Can he keep enough pace for Chase Elliott to put pressure? Can't do it. Chase Elliott's going to bail out. Will he try to go 3 wide?
Little crossover move, and here comes Chase Elliott to the inside.
Oh, the 11 almost into the 99 there. Guy's kind of moving around, almost had some contact.
Denny's not done battling. Got really loose off of 4, though. Had to give it up. Just got way loose. Car wiggled, had to get out of the throttle.
Elliott to the front and Richmond.
If this car is tight, or if he's still dealing with any kind of tight situation, it's definitely going to improve now that he's taking the lead of this race.
We talked about Chase Elliott. Here he goes. Look at this crossover. Went in high, just turned left, got underneath Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, as you said, almost in the side of Suarez. Then he tried to fight back, but just no rear grip on corner exit. Right there, you can see the back of the car moving around. No rear grip for him.
And he's complained about drive off, and I'm sure he's probably radioing into the team now. Still looking for some improvements there, Marty.
And Junior, you can just see how Denny Hamlin sailed it off into 3, trying to hang on that lead versus Chase Elliott. He radioed to Chris Gabehart a moment ago, said, man, I cannot get into the corner with the speed that 9 car does right now. He said 10-4, we'll get you fixed up on the next stop. But clearly, it's entry with that 11 cars just losing out to the 9.
So the trouble with that is if you're free on entry, you need to fix that. But a lot of times when you fix that, Junior, now the car doesn't rotate the middle. So the front gets, the entry gets way happier, way more comfortable, but now you lose rotation in the middle of 1 and 2. and that kills your speed, and that makes it where the exit gets hurt too, because the car doesn't point the way you want it to point.
It is. This, Steve can speak on this a little bit more with his experience, but I always found this track to be the toughest racetrack to work on a race car and try to improve it.
Yeah, the only way I've ever found a car to really gain any sort of speed is to make it turn the middle better. You know, you drive off, it's good, it's bad, it doesn't seem to go any faster. Changing direction seems to give you, the driver, at least a chance to change your entry speed and help your exit.
Yeah, the only time I've ever had a car with speed here is to show up with one.
Yeah. The Xfinity Series ended with the 9 winning of Gragson and the 11 finishing in second. Now here in the Cup race, the 9 of Chase Elliott is out front of the 11 of Denny Hamlin here on this 11th day of September. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa, where the racers stay in Las Vegas. And by Toyota. Federated Auto Parts 400. Salute to first responders. 62 laps away from the end of stage 2.
With 62 laps, we expect pit stops. You know, maybe 180 would be the early side, 185 the normal. And there's a lot of different plans here. We're watching this battle for the lead between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, but there's much more going on than that, right? If you're the 14 of Briscoe or the 8 of Reddick who has been lapped, what do you do to try to save a lap? Remember, this is a very long race, and some of the decisions you make about your pit cycle, while it may not be a highlight to the fans at home, if you can cycle in front of or behind the leader, save a lap somewhere in these last 61, that can make a big difference come the end of the night. You were referencing drivers that really aren't in the playoffs right now, but obviously wanting to have good runs. Let's get a few updates on those drivers that are non-playoff drivers. We'll start with Parker.
Right, and one of the best outside of Ross Chastain has been Austin Dillon in that 3-car. He's been very loose inside the 3-car, so that's sort of stunted his progress here as he's got towards the top 15 and tried to battle some of the playoff cars. But if you notice the lines he run around here, when I talk to a lot of his team, I talk to their drivers, they notice how Austin Dillon has a very unique driving style around here. He drives very straight into the corners. He tries to really protect those rear tires, and it pays off on the long run if they can get that car tightened up while keeping it turned to center. He may be a playoff threat here, guys.
And
Parker right behind him in the 16th spot is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47 car, who is another one of our non-playoff drivers, but runs really well here at this racetrack. Crew Chief Brian Patty felt like their 750 stuff has been really good this year, but now we've got a battle for the lead up front, guys.
Yeah, here comes the 11 once again. Denny Hamlin fighting back after Chase Elliott took the lead away from him. Now Hamlin looking to get back up front.
And he had so much speed all of a sudden, drivers. I wonder if he was just told by his pit crew like how many more laps he had until the pit stop, or why all of a sudden he's turned on this boost.
I think Chase Elliott's had all kinds of issues trying to get around Briscoe. Briscoe in that 14 car, Chase just can't get by him. And then Hamlin said, you know what, you can't do it on the bottom, so I'm just going to jump onto the top and see if I can make that work.
It's working right now as Hamlin had the nose just in front of the 9 of Chase Elliott. He's going to make the pass on the high side.
Yeah, Chase got to the apron on the entry to 3 and again on exit of 4. Has to give that spot up. Now, though, he can settle in, try to find a new rhythm. Watch this 11 car. What is he doing? How's he found speed? He's moved around the racetrack. We got cars on pit road, Parker.
Right, 19 of Martin Truex Jr., one of the first of the leaders here to pit as we go to the second portion of this cycle. Still very loose in that 19 car, trying to get the rear into the racetrack. Oh, as you see, he has a little, gets close there with Kevin Harvick in the 4 car, who also comes down pit road here. His car also very loose. You see a big adjustment in the right rear. Actually, at one point, struggling with just all-around grip in that 4 car, Marty.
Denny Hamlin still struggling with the entry into the corner. Yes, he did catch Chase Elliott, but needs to get that entry a little bit better, he told Chris Gabehart. And again, the 11 kind of being on the front end of these pit stops, getting on those fresh Goodyear tires earlier than a lot of the other playoff drivers. We'll see if this gains Hamlin a little bit of time over the 9, Dylan.
Right there in the bottom of your screen, Kyle Busch been really happy with his race car. He's charged through the field after that pit penalty early on in the race. Was up to 3rd there under green flag stops, but pretty happy with his race car.
See the 48s. The right rear being out of the box is okay, but right now an issue with the 9.
He was long on the 9. He had to back up. The jack was underneath there. It rolled underneath. It's destroyed the rocker panel. Both right side tires were off. Catastrophic for the 9 car. He's going to lose a ton of time and a little bit of damage to the car.
Damage to the left rear also on the 9 already.
Let's take another look at the 9. We talk about how hard it is to come into pit road, but also into your pit box with this brake balance. Close with the 42, and right there, he didn't have to back up. He was inside the box. So the jackman starts. The tire changer looks, says, man, we're good. We're in the box. The jackman starts to hit the jack. That's for everybody to start work. Chase Elliott thought he was long. I don't have the radio to know if he was told to back up or not. He backs the car up. The jack was on underneath it, destroys the jack. I mean, very good work by the pit crew. This could have been a 2-3 minute issue. Instead, it's what, 15 or 20 seconds. But either way, it's going to cost the 9 a lot of time on the racetrack.
Yeah, normally when the driver drives into the pit box and he runs long, he immediately gets, normally the front tire changer, he's the one that makes that call. Hey, you got to back up, you got to back up. And then the crew chief will relay that to him. I wonder where that information came to Chase, feeling like he had to back up.
Yeah, because the front tire changer wasn't indicating or showing anything, and now we see Chase Elliott a lap down compared to where Denny Hamlin's running.
Hey, Rick, an interesting move by Cliff Daniels here, leaving Kyle Larson out a little bit longer. Well, why? Because he saw what Adam Stevens did for Christopher Bell. They went about 5 laps longer on the first stop than everyone else. Bell stormed up through the field. Bell now actually in the lead. So let's see if these fresher Goodyear tires later in the run will pay off for the 5. Dylan?
So Christopher Bell again comes into his box now, but does he need to stay out again a little bit later than the leaders of the 11 and the 9, but here he is in his box. Much happier with the balance of the race car and still going to try to make it a little better there with a chassis adjustment. Still wants some forward drive in the 20, but 4 tires and fuel for Bell.
Now as Denny Hamlin takes over the race lead, you mentioned it, Rick. The 9 is basically, you would think they're still racing for the lead. They're so close to one another, but the 9 lost exactly 1 lap in that melee on pit road. So now with 49 laps to go, it was a 36-second pit stop, which makes sense, right? There's the 23-second lap time over the 13-second pit stop. Now the 9 He's going to have to find some pace, push his car to an uncomfortable level, really unlap himself. That's his best chance, and he's doing a nice job as he drives underneath the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
As they're running, let's take a look at the Cup Series playoff standings brought to you by Xfinity. And, of course, with the one of Kurt Busch out of the race already, he has lost spots down there in the 12th position, just above the cutoff line. Denny Hamlin, of course, with the win a week ago. He is advancing into the round of 12. But everyone else fighting for every position on the track. Take a look at this. Denny Hamlin now coming up on the back of Chase Elliott.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see, Rick. Just, you know, how hard these guys were running. Chase has got to run as hard as he possibly can now. If they were saving anything or doing any of tire conservation for the first half of the run, he can't do that. He's got to go out here and run every single lap. Denny, though, will he let him go? Let him go up there and burn his stuff up and hope to catch him and lap him again? Or really try to chase him down here. This is everything that this 9 car has right now. We don't know about that for the rest of the field, but right now you know that Chase Elliott is showing you everything he's got.
Well, that guy on the pit box right there, Alan Gustafson, still crew chief him. He knows they still got a chance. Got to keep battling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hamlin out front by 2.3 seconds over teammate Kyle Busch, and then it's teammate Martin Truex Jr. That is 3.1 seconds back from Hamlin. So Joe Gibbs Racing has the first 3 spots locked up, then Logano and Ross Chastain. Also after that green flag pit stop, he's 8.5 seconds back from race leader Denny Hamlin. Again, the only right now non-playoff driver inside the top 10, actually inside the top 13. Back in 14 is Austin Dillon. Want to take a look through the field. Applebee's through the field. We'll start with Marty.
And that would be Denny Hamlin out front, who has really turned it on, obviously, as soon as the playoffs hit. Hamlin winning Darlington up front now, winning stage 1 and 37 laps from winning stage 2 here at Richmond. When I asked Chris Gabehart this afternoon, I said, hey, are you trying to collect playoff points? He said, I could care less about playoff points. I want wins. Wins build momentum. My driver feeds off that. My goal, sweep round 1. Doing a good job so far, Dylan.
And Marty, his teammate, runs in the second spot. Kyle Busch, a guy who, as we've talked about many times tonight, just needs to come in here, have a really solid day. This has been one of his best racetracks. He's got a great crew chief, obviously, making the calls, and that's a pretty good combination. Helps this Joe Gibbs Racing program excel because there is so much in the driver's hands here. We know how talented Kyle Busch is behind the wheel. He can take control when he needs to, puts the car in the right spot. He runs in the second spot now, Parker.
No doubt, doing it. It seems the same way for his teammate there, Martin Truex Jr. Whenever we go to a track that's very worn out, it just seems like you can count on this 19 car having that long run speed. I asked Martin Truex's crew chief, James Small, about that. He said, to be honest, Martin is just great at saving those tires, and we set up the car for emphasizing those strengths of saving the tires. That 19 he's paying off right now, running third. For Joe Logano behind him in fourth, I asked Paul Wolf, how do you approach this round? He said, to be honest, after last week and we saw all the problems people had, we know not to take risk. And he said, Joey and I talk about this often. We've done this before. We know what it takes to get through these early rounds. We need to just not take risks, be very good at risk assessment. He said that's one of Joey Logano's strength, is making sure that we're just taking the right amount of risk at the right time, Dylan.
And right behind him, Ross Chastain having another great run 2 weeks in a row here as he runs in the fifth spot, battling a tight condition now that continues to get progressively worse the longer the run goes, so that's what he's battling right now. Really been a good couple of weeks for this team, though. They feel like they can show up every week and compete in the top 10, but when everything goes right, when they execute perfectly, they've proved time and time again they can run up front. Doing that again here today as Ross runs fifth, Marty.
Dylan, a nice turnaround in performance for Kyle Larson, Cliff Daniels, and the 5 team here at Richmond, at a racetrack they struggled at in the past. They've been kind of hanging around the middle part of the top 10. They can't seem to take that next step with the car. Daniels told me this afternoon, I used to come here and think I'm going to learn something for Phoenix, for other flat racetracks. He said this year I come here thinking I'm going to worry about Richmond. I'm not worried about learning for another racetrack. I want to learn how to run well here at Richmond. They're doing that tonight. Certainly a step forward, sitting in 6th, Parker.
Right, and for Eric Almirola, it's a step forward for this team from last week at Darlington, where they had maybe about 12th place speed in that 10 car, and then they had an issue that ended up putting them a lap down. They end up finishing outside the top 15. When I spoke to his crew chief, Mike Bugarevich, I said, what do you need? What's your path through this first round of the playoffs? He said, it's simple. If we have a normal night here within the top 10 running the way we know we can, and then we do the same at Bristol, we will find ourselves in the second round. And then when I look at the tracks that second round, all bets are off if we can make it through that one, Dylan.
And Parker right behind Almirola sits Christopher Bell in the 20 car, who has had a struggle and up and down day, so to speak. Started off with the balance really not to his liking. They worked on it every stop, made some chassis adjustments. Now the race car is pretty good as Bell runs inside the top 10 here. So felt like they left some points on the table at Darlington. Crew chief Adam Stevens says we have to run well today. It is a priority. They're doing their best to try to salvage this day, Parker.
Kevin Harvick had a great run at Darlington. I had an interesting conversation with him before the race today, where I asked him about the difference of entering the playoffs this year without being as successful as he was last year. He said, to be honest, I don't approach it any different. And the reason being is I have learned you've just got to maintain yourself. Don't get sucked into the valleys and the peaks of this sport. It can almost drive you insane. If you want to win championships, you've got to find a way to stay consistent. Although it's tough, especially when you hit those valleys, if you can stay consistent mentally, that can put you in position to win a championship, Marty.
Parker, slowly but surely, Greg Ives making inroads on the 48 car and making it better. Alex Bowman for the first time tonight in the top 10. So the car's been getting better every one. When I talked to Ives earlier this week, he said, we know we can come here to Richmond, we can score some stage points, we can maybe even win the race and get us further from that cut line. After a disastrous Darlington, here sits the 48 above the cut line. Just +1, but I'm sure they'll take it, Rick.
Right now, only 15 cars on the lead lap, and that's including the 9 of Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin is about to put the 9 of Chase Elliott a lap down. Look how close he has gotten to him once again.
Well, he's been kind of sitting about this distance since Chase passed him on the racetrack, but Chase is now starting to catch some more lap traffic and cars that he's racing actually for position, like Austin Dillon. And we saw earlier in the run when Chase got to cars of reasonable speed, he had difficulties getting around them. Chase Briscoe held him up a little while, and he lost the lead right there before the pit cycle. So this is the frustration, I think, for Chase as he gets to this 3 car. Can he make the pass? Will it allow Denny to close in and then lap him? And if Denny does that, Denny's going to go, hey, I got to go and lap some more cars. I don't want to allow him to get that free pass. Let's wrap this 9 a lap down.
Well, let's review this 9, why he is in this situation. Look at the left rear behind the tire all the way back on the bumper cover. I think we get a pretty good shot. There's damage right there. So now let's go back and look at that pit stop. We said he was long. We've taken a couple slow-mo looks at this. Watch the hands right there. You see him catch it? We can show it one more time. The 42 makes contact with the left rear of the 9. Chase Elliott has to counter steer. Look at those white gloves in the window, turning right. I'm sure he had to pump the brake pedal to not spin out. That's why he was deep. That's why he thought to back up. So an unfortunate situation, but that is why the 9 car could have been much worse. A little heavier contact. You never know, he could have spun out on pit road.
And we're seeing it again. Denny Hamlin's moved up the racetrack. He sees this 9, cannot catch the 3. Chase Elliott's having trouble getting to the back bumper of Austin Dillon. The 11 says, all right, I'm going to the top of the racetrack. Just like the run before, he's going to try to pass this 9 and put him a lap down.
Chase Elliott needs to recognize this, though. You know, one thing Chase Elliott can improve on is changing his line. He gets stuck on a line sometimes and will not move. And here Denny Hamlin is jumping on the outside of him, trying to put him that lap down.
Get this 51 car. Garrett Smithley is going to slow down the progress of that Denny Hamlin. Denny has to give that battle up, but he can regroup. Now to the inside, he gets a great run off the bottom there with that crossover. I don't think he makes that pass on the bottom as you see the 9 car with more throttle off the corner running the high line. But yeah, Denny sees it. He's going to try to go back to that top, I think, to try to make this pass on Chase.
Chase back to the bottom. Loose. See right there how loose Chase Elliott was getting into the corner. That allowed Denny Hamlin to drive right underneath him. So now Chase Elliott just cannot match his speed on corner entry, maybe into 3 because it's straighter.
Oh, Denny was loose right there, really chasing his car up the racetrack into the side of the 9. Chase trying not to get boxed in behind Joey Gase here in the 15 on the outside line there. Denny's going to be a gentleman there and give him a little bit of room, a little extra room.
Chase being scored a lap down now, and the next one is Austin Dillon in front of Denny Hamlin. So now Denny Hamlin's going to try to continue to put these guys a lap down. So only 14 cars on the lead lap now. Denny Hamlin, blistering pace, 143 laps out front as we go NASCAR nonstop. NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Richmond, telecast presented by Toyota. Denny Hamlin still out in front of the 9 of Chase Elliott, but as we look from up above, you see that gap has closed considerably. Geico giving us this aerial coverage.
It's been so hard for Denny to get to these lap cars and even make this pass. You have no idea how much patience on the throttle it takes to make it around this lap traffic. It looks easy, like, oh, look at him, he's gonna give the bumper. He's like, man, I need to get by you.
But and that's how hard he's working to keep Chase Elliott a lap down. I mean, this isn't a battle for the lead. He's moving Austin Dillon out of the way, desperately wanting to keep Chase Elliott a lap down.
And this is a timing thing too, because if Hamlin does put Austin Dillon a lap down, which he has done, now Chase Elliott has to get in front of that 3 so he can get the free pass.
And we've seen Chase Elliott have all kinds of issues trying to make passes. So it's going to be hard to get back in front of Austin Dillon, Parker.
And then another car that has a keen eye on that 11 is just ahead of those two, the 3 and the 11, the 24 of William Byron. He's the next that he would put a lap down. The 24 team has been updating William exactly where the 11 is running, where he's making time over the 24. They've been imploring William to use his tools inside the car to try and find a little speed and stay focused. You see the 11 takes a big bite out of the difference to the 24 there. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold him off here with 8 to go.
Williams been sliding back outside the top 10, back through the field, right now in 13th position. And here's the battle right now for the free pass, but Denny's going to put this 24 down, and in the 3 and the 9, they have to go get him. They have to go past this 24. Great battle right here between the 5 and the 22. Logano and Larson for 4th place.
I don't want to lose focus of what Denny Hamlin is doing here, though. He's about to put the 14th place, actually the 13th place car a lap down.
And
the 13th place car. That's a playoff driver.
Yeah, I mean, I know we only got 7 laps to go. Right in front of this 24 Byron is Blaney, Keselowski, all these guys right off the nose of this 24.
Well, the 9 is inside the 3. That makes this pass on the 24 even more important for both Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. He's going to look left and go to the inside this time.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin just made a great big arc into 1, stayed really high, exited turn 2 really low to get underneath William Byron. Williams going to fight hard right here. Got to try to stay in this lead lap.
5 laps to go in stage 2.
Oh, Denny is so close to making contact with William there. These guys are pushing so hard. Denny knows he gets up the racetrack just a little bit right there. He sees in his mirror the 9 car is now in the free pass position, so he knows how important it is to pass his 24, and he does it.
All right, so now William Byron's job is to keep that 9 car and Chase Elliott from passing him. Chase has gotten by Austin Dillon. William Byron's got to race this to be the first car lap down, like it's the race for the win.
He's got to do it for the next 3 laps.
Chase up the racetrack. He's going to have a great run off the corner here. 24 on the inside of a lap car. He's going to struggle to the throttle. And here's Chase to the inside.
Just that quickly, Chase Elliott in front of the 24.
Man, he cooked it
way in the corner. It worked, though.
Yep.
Moved William Byron up the racetrack. Hey, man, I know you're my teammate, but I hate it for you.
Williams' car is just struggling right now, trying to get off the corner and the throttle. So now Denny looks in the mirror and says, man, I just about had this 9 trapped a lap down, but I don't believe that Hamlin goes up there and gets another car. So this will be an opportunity for the 9 to stay in that free pass position. Marty.
Hey, Junior, Denny Hamlin just said, be ready, guys. So, Dale, you know as a driver, that means you feel like you made contact with someone. Chris Gabehart reminded him, you're coming to the green-white checkered here, 1 to go in this stage. Hang on to it if you can.
Right now, William Byron's best friend is the 9 and Chase Elliott, Rick. If he could somehow get in front of the 11.
In this last lap.
Yeah.
If he does, that would put the 24 in position to get that free pass.
I like y'all's optimism.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it was going to happen. I just said he was his best friend.
Denny Hamlin, he won stage 1, and coming out of 4, he'll win stage 2.
See
these guys coming across the finish line sideways. That's just, they're so frustrated with the drive off. They're just tearing the tires off of it as they cross the finish line, knowing they're coming to get 4 new ones.
Denny Hamlin won the first 2 stages earlier this year here at Richmond, but didn't win that race. And now he's won stage 1 and stage 2. Can he finish it off? A long 3rd stage in front of him. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Ford. Built Ford proud. And by DoorDash. Get more in your neighborhood. Night racing. Short track, the action track here in Richmond, Virginia. And Denny Hamlin, who is from just down the road, is leading, has won stage 1, has won stage 2. So the Chesterfield, Virginia native feeling pretty good about himself and has passed everyone up to 12th. But Chase Elliott is going to get the free pass, so that'll put 13 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, just an amazing run out of this 11 car. You know, now he's hoping for a clean final stage, right? And keep the lead lap cars to that limited amount. Get a quick yellow, maybe we have a wave by opportunity, but just such an impressive. Even the gap to Kyle Busch coming on pit road is going to help him, Parker.
Right, Martin Truex Jr. finished 3rd there in that stage. Just very sensitive on throttle, especially with the right rear in that 19 car. You can see a big adjustment in the right rear. As you saw there, 4 Goodyear tires trying to make that car less sensitive to the throttle, Dylan.
Top right of your screen, Kyle Busch will come in from the 2nd spot, just saying that he's too loose and wants the center of the corner to be better so he can take care of the exit. Going to be an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for the 18, Marty.
You see Denny Hamlin, he felt like he had a right front tire going down. That's what he was talking about when he told his guys to be ready. He said, we're so good on the long run. I need some reassurance on entry in the short run. Kyle Larson said his car just a little bit too free. Hamlin easily wins the race off pit road. Truex gains a spot, Rick.
Yeah, his teammates fighting for that 2nd position off of pit road. Truex gets it just ahead of Kyle Busch. You could be headed to Daytona and the Daytona 500 for the 2022 Daytona 500 on a VIP trip. Visit NASCAR.com/Daytona 500 and enter the code Richmond for your chance to win, just like Michael McDowell did there earlier this year. Let's check in with the Peacock Pit Box and DJ, KP, and Brad. All right, guys, did you expect to see Chase Elliott fighting to stay on the lead lap?
Yeah, that was unfortunate what happened there with everything that transpired as he came in under that green flag stop. But Joe Gibbs Racing, 4 out of the top 6 at the end of that stage 2 there, and Denny Hamlin still setting the pace.
Took the words right out of my mouth. How good are we in pre-race? We said JGR against Larson, top 5. 4 JGR, 1 Larson. That's it. Enough said, people.
Yeah, and we're going to see how it plays out. You know, Denny's led over 100 laps here 7 times, including in April where he led 207, but he finished second. That 5 car, I don't think he showed us his hand yet. Elliott's fast. We got a lot of racing.
Yes.
Yeah, don't count out Martin Truex Jr. of this yet. I don't believe we've seen everything he's got.
I agree.
And he came off pit road in second. Want to take a look at the Cup Series playoff standings presented by Xfinity. And all right, let's look at the cut line.
Well, Alex Bowman, Kurt Busch. I mean, Kurt Busch is in the garage area, so he's just going to wait and see how well Alex Bowman runs, how well Chase Elliott can recover after getting the free pass. He knows he can't score any more points tonight, so it's just a question of how much more will he be penalized, how many other points these guys can score. Parker.
Well, guys, under this caution here, the 4-car of Kevin Harvick took a little extra time on pit road. He had some damage on the right side, but basically the right front and the right rear fender. That actually came early in the race, somewhere around lap 2. The team elected just not to fix it. It wasn't rubbing the tires, but now with so few cars in the lead lap, they took a little extra time, pulled out those fenders. As you see now, he's just outside the top 10.
Final stage about to get underway. 156 laps to go in this one. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. rocketing into turn number 1.
And just for the record, all our friends on the pit box, they said they called out all drivers in the top 5 could win this race. I feel like that's a pretty good gig to go ahead and just wait to see who's in the top 5 at the end of stage 2.
Really daring with their picks there.
Joe Gibbs Racing making up the entire top 4. Look, Truex almost on the outside of Hamlin right there. Logano trying to get on the outside of Bell.
Logano working the outside and really close there. Has to chase it up the racetrack.
Get to see just how good the Truex and Kyle Busch cars are now that they're closed up to the back bumper of this 11. Will Denny just drive away? Does he have the best car here like he says?
Some of you may be wondering why you don't see Ross Chastain up there up top like we had seen earlier. Well, he was speeding. Too fast entering for Ross Chastain. Barney.
I think the one thing the 11 team wants to see, Junior, you mentioned a moment ago, how good are his teammates, Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch. Remember, he's really been racing Chase Elliott all night long, not the 19 and the 18. And the other thing Chris Gabehart wants to see on this run, are they better on the short run? Hamlin has been dominant on the long run tonight, but Steve, you know, it doesn't always finish on a long run. Here in the spring, Hamlin led over 200 laps, didn't win the race because it ended on a final restart.
Yeah, I mean, short run speed and long run speed, it takes a very different type of car and usually a different type setup at tracks like this where tire wear is high. You just hope you can crutch one. If say you have a great long run car, kind of have a plan or at least an educated guess on what adjustments will make it fire off a little bit quicker.
We look at the numbers of Joe Gibbs Racing here, and it says good at Richmond. Well, how about 1, 2, 3, 4 right now as they run on the racetrack?
Christopher Bell trying to get in the side of the 18 there. Take that 3rd position away, and they've been stopping later during the green flag runs and driving up through the field. Haven't been on equal tires as everybody else. Interesting to see 2 cautions out on the back.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace up into the wall in turns 1 and 2. Looks like some damage to the right front.
Yeah, the tire going down to turn 1, smoke instantly, and straight up the track he went. I'm not sure if something broke. It looks like I think there's air in that tire. Looks like something is broken on this car.
Yeah, it looks like the tire is up, but the right front has plenty damage to it. The right side smashed in. We're going to want to take another look.
You see he drives in the corner and the car just doesn't turn. That's both front brakes locked up on it. That's kind of odd looking lock up both front brakes. See right there, the car clearly just went right.
Steve, there was one of those rotors that we had talked about, and the incredible heat that you would see in there as they were looking under the right front fender of Bubba Wallace. So the 5th caution has come out, and we'll have a restart when we return to Richmond. Let's take a look at the Ruoff Mortgage Keys to Victory Lane. Drivers?
Well, can anybody beat Denny Hamlin? So far, he's been the man of the night. Somebody take it to him.
Who else will make a mistake on the racetrack or on pit road? I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunities, I think, with this race left for guys to make those mistakes. Who doesn't do that, I think, have a great shot at winning this thing. Marty, what you got on the 2-car?
Well, I think with the only 14 cars on the lead lap, Dale Jr., they decided to bring the 2-car down pit road, did not take tires. Jeremy Bullins making a fairly significant adjustment for Brad Keselowski. Said he just couldn't connect the corners. Probably not a bad move, Steve, with so few cars here on the lead lap.
Yeah, and they didn't take tires because on the left-hand side, only 3 sets remaining with 147 laps. It's a long way to go. You don't want to get upside down on tire sets.
Go back to the restarts. Hamlin. Martin Truex Jr. once again. They made up row 1, and it's still 1, 2, 3, 4 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Now a little more pressure from Martin Truex Jr. this time as Denny Hamlin trying to stay in front.
Yeah, it looked like Denny was a little bit tight rolling. Sometimes when these guys cycle tires, they don't do it often because they're usually putting tires on, but the cycles can change the balance of the car. And so Denny's trying to figure out just what his car is going to be doing, how much throttle to use, how quickly he can roll the center. This 20 car on the outside, though, has great position on the 18 and now jumps to the right rear quarter panel of his teammate Truex.
I think he surprised Truex because they would roll the exit of the corner so well on the outside.
4th, the best finish for Christopher Bell here in a Cup car, but he's a 3-time winner in the Xfinity Series here at Richmond.
Look at this right here. Look at Christopher Bell. He knows there's a train on the bottom. He's got to make this top work.
He'd love to be able to clear this 18 and get to the bottom of the racetrack, but the 19 is there, Parker.
Right, and you may have seen when we were on board with Christopher Bell in the 18 there, looking at the 19, he was wiggling around off the corners. That's been the problem for the 19. Under that caution, he came across radio and said, we're just taking off too free, can't get the rear of the racetrack to go and get that 11. So look for the 19 trying to conserve those rear tires here in the long run and get that rear in the track, Marty.
Oh, Oh, contact right there with 18
and some
and the
contact
20.
there with the 18 and the 20 guys. And up front, Denny Hamlin talking about the pit strategy and what they'll do on the next stop. Hamlin saying when they pit early, it actually hurts his car. Take a listen on the radio.
When we do pit early and the lap cars come out in front of me, even though I'm faster, I'm really hurt my tires because I'm not on the same tires as them, or I'm not on or I'm at a tire disadvantage. So it actually makes my car worse. Just burns everything up really bad.
And Steve, we've seen his teammate Christopher Bell make that move to pit later, so you wonder if Chris Gabehart, with that information, might make that same move as well.
Yeah, with 141 to go, we expect 2 pit stops. The lap in those pit stops, not only for tire life are important, but just where you end up with traffic. If you cycle back out in traffic, it could be a big issue. And right here's a replay of 2 teammates getting together.
So there's a lot there to unpack. The 20 car hoping not to have any damage to the left rear tire. And the 18 car hoping not to affect the handling of his cars. The 19 of Truex is closing in on his teammate Hamlin. Hamlin wanted to know how good his teammates are. Well, Truex is here to play.
Maybe he didn't want to know.
He's about to find out as, a little bit loose there for Martin Truex Jr. as he came out of 4.
Yeah, you wonder, if this is a long run, you wonder with Truex being loose like that, what's it going to be like 20, 30 laps from now? Will it get looser? Will it get tighter?
We've never really seen Denny's car make those kind of movements. Denny is not the type of driver that really overdrives his equipment. He's really smooth, drives as good as the car is going to go. I like that here because it helps on the long run with the tire life. So maybe he gets this position up right now with the hard charging Truex. But in about 20 or 30 laps, the idea is that he may repass Truex for the lead.
And in 30 to 35, 36 laps, we will see them probably diving to pit road. See, that's about the time when you predicted that they will be making their way to pit road if they're doing it on 2 more stops to end this race.
You see at the bottom of your screen just chaos basically back here around the 10th position. The 21 of Matty D's trying to race for the free pass. First car 1 lap down, doing a nice job.
Chase got the free pass, and then that last caution allowed him to leapfrog all of the lap cars and move into position to be able to battle his way back through this field. So yes, good to see this 9 car moving back into the top 10, making progress after some issues earlier.
And what you see that 21 of Matt DiBenedetto, he's trying to stay in the lead lap. Tyler Reddick behind him on about 10 lap fresher tires, trying to get by Matty D to be the first car lap down. Here he comes in the picture right here. A little better tire. Needs to get back in that lead lap and have a chance to have a good finish tonight.
You just don't know where this pass, it could be worth 10 points, 15 points at the end of the night, Jeff. Get back on the lead lap, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, they're huge. You never know when the big moment of the race is. Here he goes, a little better tire, driving underneath the 21 car. He's got to make this pass quickly. You never know when the caution's going to come out.
Again, battling for 15th, but more importantly, battling for the highest scored lap down car in case a caution does come out to get the free pass. This battle continuing between the 19 and 11.
Truex rolls the bottom a little bit lower, but Denny sets his car up for the exit and regains that ground off the corner down the next straightaway. See Denny up the racetrack, not really able to keep his car as low as Truex. Does help him on exit a little bit, but I wonder, Denny up the racetrack, I just don't know that his car's doing what he wants to right now. 19 to the inside.
For the lead, here comes Martin Truex Jr.
If he wanted to, he could make that really difficult. He does not. He allows Truex to go around. He's going to sit right here and watch this 19 and see what he needs to do to his car to make it better.
He hasn't been up front much, but it's Martin Truex Jr. up front now at NASCAR Nonstop. Only 125 laps to go. NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Richmond. Telecast presented by Toyota. Make sure to join us on NASCAR American Motor Mouths Monday and Wednesday on Peacock. You can sign up for Peacock at peacocktv.com. That's Monday, Wednesday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, as fans, we love when you call in. You can chat about what's taking place tonight or predict what you will see next Saturday night when the Cup Series goes to Bristol. Want to get a few updates around the cut line. We'll start with Marty.
You know, talking to Alex Bowman, Rick, before the playoffs, he said, my first few years in the playoffs, I thought I needed to turn it on and run harder and try better in the playoffs versus the regular season. And I learned last year, I actually don't need to do anything. I need to prep like I normally do, train like I normally do, and a terrific example of that was after the disappointing race at Darlington last week. Bowman didn't change a thing. Did his normal preparation. They have come back here to Richmond, having a decent run, not right now sitting in the 13th position. The run before this, though, they were up in the top 8. Car's gotten a little bit too free for Alex Bowman, Dylan.
And Marty, Tyler Reddick runs in the 15th spot as the first car 1 lap down. And one of the things that this team was really beating themselves up about over last week's performance was just that they felt like they lost the handle on the race car in the middle of the race and couldn't get it back. Well, they've kind of flipped the script this weekend because Reddick is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He is driving through the top 10, passing cars that are on the lead lap. In fact, he just drove by Kevin Harvick, who runs in the 8th spot. So this 8th car, Tyler Reddick, one of the fastest and best on the racetrack right now. If they can get back on the lead lap, they may have a good finish on their hands, Parker.
Well, Dylan, that is not the case for the 24 William Byron. Last week, they felt like that was one that got away after he got that damage. When the 48 had their issue early in the race, he was still a top 10 car. Then they had another left rear issue, and their night was done at Darlington. Coming to this race, Rudy Kugel told me, we just need to go run 10th. If we do that, we'll come out of here around the cut line and be in a good position, but that has not been the case. They've struggled with this car throughout the night. He went down a lap there just at the end of stage 2 and now has fallen behind many of the 1 lap down cars, and he struggled to get that rear in the racetrack, Dylan.
Hasn't been the day that Michael McDowell has won it either in the 34 car there that you see on your screen. Crew Chief Drew Blickensderfer was pretty reasonable about their expectations, though. He said, hey, we know that we're probably not going to go up here and contend for wins, but just want a solid day, want to try not to lose more today, but they feel good about Bristol next week. So know what they've got, just kind of want to be aggressive, stay aggressive with their pit calls, stay aggressive on the racetrack, do the best they can, try and make as much noise as they can while they're in the playoffs here. Hopefully not, hoping that it doesn't come to an end next weekend at Bristol.
38 points back and 3 drivers in front of them. It probably is a must-win for Michael McDowell when he heads to Bristol next week. We take a look at the 11 of Denny Hamlin, a 2.5 seconds back from Martin Truex Jr. Listening to his radio.
I don't know, man. We're just not nearly as good. You know, definitely don't roll the center as good. You know, right now, compared to what I was to start the run.
You remember he talked about being loose on corner entry. Need to get that fixed. And what do we say the danger of that is? He won't turn the middle. So they may have fixed the entry, but now they've hurt the center. And even though that entry is uncomfortable, sometimes you're better off dealing with that if you can, if it rolls the center well.
And the biggest struggle is when you lead that many laps, the only thing you can really do is maybe adjust how your car feels. You don't know how it compares to everyone else on speed until you finally get past and you have another car to kind of judge off from.
Martin Truex Jr. pulling away now from Denny Hamlin.
Chastain driving by Larson here. Yeah, Chastain lost a little pace after contact with pit road. Chase Elliott, not that that was affecting his pace, but his car just wasn't quite as good. Seems to be back to where it was early in the race when he was really quick driving through the field up into the top 4.
When he had that penalty, I think they made an extra pit stop. You see the tape above the grill. It's hard to make out. To your point, Junior, exactly what you were mentioning. I think maybe they repaired it. Maybe there was a hole in that nose or something, and they got it sealed up because the pace is coming back.
It's crazy that a little hole like that would hurt the car so much. But you're right. I mean, you slap just a little bit of tape on that grill to add some downforce, and it really is an amazing feeling for the driver.
Yeah, so for the fan at home, it's not as much the hole in the nose as far as the air physically pushing on the nose. It's where the air is going that's the problem. It goes under the hood and changes the pressure under that car, and basically that I mean, it's not very good. You know, if you jam air underneath the car, obviously it's going to create lift. It makes the car not have as much grip into the racetrack. So not as much what you're plugging as much as where you're trying to prevent the air from going.
Obviously an unfortunate night for Kurt Busch, but teammates Ross Chastain at Chip Ganassi Racing trying to make these last 9 races of the season, and the last 9 races for Chip Ganassi Racing memorable for Chip. This will be the end for Chip Ganassi Racing after 20 years of racing. Ross is headed to Trackhouse Racing, and he will join Daniel Suarez over there next year. And the one and Kurt Busch headed to 2311 Racing in 2022. So trying to make it a memorable last few races for Chip Ganassi Racing.
2 young drivers starting that team next year. Suarez already at Trackhouse, adding this 42 of Ross Chastain. 2 young drivers, no Kurt Busch, no senior leader for them to lean on. But if you see this run that he's been having lately, Ross Chastain's ready. He is ready to be the guy at a race team.
Ross Chastain back in the top 5. Truex Jr. up front through a NASCAR nonstop.
Green flag pit stops underway at Richmond with 105 laps to go. We expect another pit stop before the end. Leaders have yet to make the stop. Chase Elliott in the 9 on pit road.
Cleaner stop this time.
Yeah, cleaner stop for sure. The 12 on pit road as well. Ryan Blaney. Currently Truex leads, Hamlin 2nd, Bell 3rd, Larson 4th, Marty.
Boy, Blaney had such a good run at the start of the day, Steve, but they have struggled here in the back half of the race. Blaney saying, I don't know, car just does not have any grip off the corner. Dylan?
Kyle Busch is in, just said that he was a little bit free starting out in this run, but as the run goes, still just losing the center and exit balance of his race car. So maybe another air pressure adjustment there. It looked like 4 tires and fuel for the 18, Marty.
See Mark Truex Jr. on pit road making a stop from the lead. His teammate Denny Hamlin also coming to his stall as well. So Chris Gabehart did listen when Hamlin said, I want to pit a little bit later in the cycle. Pitting early is hurting our tires. Hamlin saying that his car hurt the center, as you guys mentioned, and it kept getting worse the longer they ran. You saw that wedge adjustment to help that, Parker.
Eric Almirola, who pitted just outside the top 10, has been around that top 10 throughout the night here, just trying to get the car to turn the center without getting the rear too loose off of the corners. It was 4 Goodyear tires for Eric Almirola.
Michael McDowell hit with a speeding penalty on pit road. Marty.
Kyle Larson at the very first stall at the end of pit road. So Cliff Daniels has completely flipped to this strategy of pitting later in the cycle, and it's paid dividends for the 5. We'll keep an eye on their lap time. Larson saying he just needs more drive off. That's been his complaint for much of the evening. Also a little turn in the center as well needed for the 5 car.
Christopher Bell has not come to pit road yet, and so that means that a lot of cars are a lap down to him until he comes to pit road. And what kind of a strategy would that be, Steve?
Here he comes. He's waving to the guys behind him. He heads on the pit road super fast. Locks up the rear tires. Basic commitment line, 20 car. Good job. Dylan.
Adam Stevens and company keep working on this, have kept working on this 20 car all night long and have made it better and better and better. Just a little bit loose right now is the latest report for Seabell. So he'll hit his marks. 4 Goodyear tires going to go on here. They'll add Sunoco fuel, the wrench in the back window as well, just to try and snug him up just a little bit here before they make their last stop of the evening.
As you see the 20 on pit road on the left-hand side, you're going to see in the running order, Ross Chastain's going to take the lead. This is not only for efficient pit work, but early pit work. They came to pit road at lap 292, 4 laps before Kyle Busch. 4 laps, fresh tires, that's almost 8 seconds worth of fresh tires. So great call by the 42. Now, unfortunately, he now has 4 lap older tires than the 18 of Kyle Busch. So I expect the 18 to run him back down, but I like the aggression out of a team looking for a win.
We saw the 34 of Michael McDowell. He was on pit road suffering that pass-through penalty because of speeding. Well, when he came to do the penalty, he sped again. So he's going to have to come back to pit road. Difficult night for McDowell.
You mentioned Chastain leading this race because of his pit stop. Well, Kyle Busch, he pitted actually a lap later than Truex, and he is almost 2 seconds ahead of Truex.
Chastain out front, half a second lead over Kyle Busch. Martin Truex Jr. 2.2 seconds back. Hamlin 5.3 seconds back after the green flag pit stops have cycled through. Joey Logano is 5th. Harvick, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Keselowski all in the top 10.
Kyle Busch actually took a lap before Truex.
I mean, 2 seconds. You make so much time. And with 96 laps to go, we expect another green flag pit stop as here it is, Kyle Busch stalking the 42.
Busch to the inside for the lead. And Ross Chastain drops back to second. Kyle Busch leading at Richmond. And the hand goes out to Wade.
He mentioned at the start of the show, this is a good racetrack. He had the confidence. Even after last week's disappointment, able to take the week and regroup mentally, focus, come in here with the attitude that he can win this race. And here he is in position with 94 laps to go.
And Kyle Busch always does that. You know, we see him express his frustrations, show his anger, and we think, oh, he's mentally out of it. And the next week comes and he's right back in the game. He's always been like that. He's able to put those things behind him. Seems like he just gets it off his chest and he moves on to the next thing.
Two-time champion, able to focus when he has to. Let's listen in to the 10 of Eric Almirola. He had to come to pit road a couple times.
Feel it out for us. Let us know if you feel anything here. By one time. Oh my God. Pitch. Side's only here, man.
Parker.
Right, Eric Almirola pitted twice under that pit cycle there. The reason being, as you heard, the left rear was loose on the 10 car. They had to come down and tighten it up, and therefore now he finds himself 1 lap down from being just outside the top 10 around 11th when that pit cycle started.
Now all the way back to 20th behind William Byron in 19th. So this is a team, Rick, that made the playoffs, but they were going to need some really impressive execution, I think, to have a great chance of pointing their way in. And they're still right around the cut line, but they were pulling that execution off. Those 10 points going to make a big difference. So we mentioned that the 18 may have came a lap before Truex, but also when you look at this right here, I think it's more than just fresh tires, Jeff. Drivers pretty close, Kyle a little bit quicker, but how about the pit stop? 2 seconds faster from the pit crew out of the 18. That is just a huge margin. And if you look at the left-hand side, that 2.3 seconds is basically as you know, between driver and pit crew is the gap now between the 18 and the 19.
Here's the 19 of Truex Jr. trying to get by that 42 of Ross Chastain. So he will take second away. 11.5 seconds. Pretty quick. Kyle Busch out front. We go NASCAR nonstop from Richmond. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series Federated Auto Parts 400 from Richmond Raceway. A reminder, at the conclusion of tonight's race, make sure to join us for NASCAR America post-race show.
All the onboards from tonight. You're going to see some guys really smooth with their hands and some guys not so much. Trying to fight that car around the racetrack. Kyle Busch in a lot of traffic right here. Rolls up on the back bumper, the 41 of Cole Custer.
Junior, do you know that you take your right hand off the steering wheel when you drive?
Yeah, I
every lap.
learned that from Mark Barton. I was watching cars from the 80s with Mark Martin driving, and I was like, I like him. He's fast. We'll do what he's doing. I tried to drive like Brad Keselowski. He's at 9 and 3 o'clock, and he stays there. I don't know how he does it. When he was racing for us, I tried to mimic what he was doing, but I got to move my hand. It's just habit.
That proved the front stretch. We rode on board. There's Brad right there.
3 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
That's how they teach you to do it in DMV, isn't it?
I thought it
Either
was
10 and 2.
10 and 2?
Yeah, 10 and 2.
That explains why I failed twice.
Oh, that was the reason?
Well, that I didn't study.
We're hearing now maybe the potential is that it moved to 9 and 3 because of the airbag.
Oh, interesting.
Kyle Busch out front by 2 seconds over teammate Martin Truex Jr.
And that 2 seconds is an important gap because that's about what Kyle Busch made up on the last green flag pit stop. So if you're Truex's team, you're really still coaching him along with 78 laps to go. Keep us close. Maybe James Small can try to pull that 19 in a lap early and try to leapfrog the 18 on pit road.
And you're you're expecting them around lap 50, maybe a little bit before, or 50 to go, excuse me?
Yeah, about 50 to go. About. That's a very general about. Depends on who you're racing. We saw Chastain, you know, he came early and it paid off in the short run, but then eventually he had to give the time back. So it definitely seems like running a little bit longer helps you out as long as you get a long green flag run to use those tires.
Coming up on 76 laps to go. Let's get a few more updates. We'll start with Marty.
The pride of Southside Speedway, Denny Hamlin, the hometown kid, trying to get another Richmond win. We said he was going to learn a lot about how good the 11 car was once his teammates got around him. Denny's still trying to solve that riddle. Listen.
Talk to me, man. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Other than telling you they're rolling into one better than you, that's it. That's what they're doing.
Pretty simple, but pretty hard to do. Hamlin's car still good on the long run, but just not as good as that 18 and the 19, Dylan.
And another car that's pretty good, Marty, is the 9 at Chase Elliott. Just moved around Chastain into the 4th spot. This is one track that this team thought they probably wouldn't win at if you had to pick any of the tracks left in the playoffs, just kind of based on previous experience. But remember, at one point, they were challenging for the lead. Now they've had to march back through the field after going a lap down. And boy, what a remarkable recovery and a nice shot in the arm this run would be for Chase. His latest report just felt like he has nothing to lean on, maybe in part due to that damage that he suffered with that pit stop, but car looks like it's pretty good right now as he rolls through the top 5, Parker.
Well, Dylan, for Kevin Harvick, it's been a very interesting night to listen to his radio. He has talked about how bad that car is at times, almost every portion of this racetrack, and at one point described it as driving on ice. But you know what's funny is if you look at the performance of this Ford car since we've entered the playoffs at these 750 horsepower tracks, that has been the strength for Stewart-Haas Racing. I asked Kevin, why is that? And he said basically at these 750 horsepower tracks, the window that the car works is bigger than we have at the 550 horsepower tracks. For every reason, if it's tighter or it's looser, further than we can get on the 550, we can still make speed. And even as bad as that car has been, he's still in the top 10 of that Ford car in a solid run here tonight.
You saw Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman racing each other. Kyle Busch went to the bottom of Ryan Newman, locked the left front brake up getting into turn 3, immediately recognized it, got off of that. If he hadn't, he would have run right into the left rear quarter panel with Ryan Newman.
Close call there for race leader Kyle Busch.
This is one of those racetracks, really easy to lock the left front tire up, getting into turn 3. The team can make some changes for that if it's a major issue. That's the first time we've seen it all night with Kyle. I don't think I'd make any changes for that.
Just moments ago, we saw the playoff standings pop up, and you saw Larson's name in yellow, and right now you see a white line underneath Kyle Larson. That means he's going to advance into the round of 12, and it's based on points. So he has earned enough points now that he will advance into the round of 12. There you see this round of 16, and 2 drivers are going to advance now at least, and potentially a third if we see a different winner than Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson tonight.
Traffic is tight for Larson. He's got a pretty decent run right here, but nowhere to go with it. He's going to turn to the left of Tyler Reddick in the 8.
Reddick is still that first car 1 lap down. Has been in that position for a long time, hoping for a caution. You see this 20 car on the outside of Chase Elliott. Remember, he's used that strategy all night long to pit later than everybody else. Moved up to 4th place.
Man, it's been impressive to watch Christopher Bell take those newer tires and has great speed in his car and just drives right back up through the top 10. When he comes out on the track, he's like 10th place, and I'm like, man, he's got so much time that he's lost, and he's gave up on the racetrack, and halfway through this run, he's back into the top 4.
And Dale, I actually like that call for this final pit stop. I would consider running this one 10 or 12 laps long, and I know you're going to give up a ton of time. I wouldn't go so much as I would lose a lap, but I would run really long, because then if you do catch a yellow, you could perhaps stay on the racetrack if it was right after your pit stop. If you had 1 or 2 laps on it, and if not, you know you have a set distance to the finish. You'll have the best tires on the run to the checker.
But how about Alex Bowman running 13th, and he is about to lose the lead lap. So Kyle Busch puts him a lap down. He won here earlier, and now he is a lap down. Kyle Busch up front as we go NASCAR nonstop. Coming up next Saturday, it's an elimination race in the Cup Series playoffs. That means the bottom 4 in points of this round of 16 will have their playoff hopes dashed. That will be Saturday night from Bristol Motor Speedway. Race coverage 7:30 Eastern on NBCSN. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. This telecast presented by Toyota.
You start to see some cars right there on the onboard. You saw cars coming to pit road. Most of these guys are all lap down cars. This is really your only opportunity to try to, leapfrog the leaders. So this is early. This is 10 probably laps sooner than we're going to see the leaders come. We saw Byron come to pit road, Newman pit road, Buescher to pit road, the 14 of Briscoe. Just trying to find some time on these leaders, Marty.
It has not been the night Brad Keselowski expected, and he'll admit he expects the championship, if you're going to have a championship run, to run through Richmond. They put a lot of emphasis on this race for the 2 team, and there he is going down a lap to Kyle Busch. That will leave only 11 cars on the lead lap. You see Ross Chastain coming to pit road as that green flag pit cycle starts here. But Keselowski, this race last year, they won it. Tonight, not good.
Truex hit pit road right there.
This time.
Right, guys, Martin Truex, the first of the leaders here to get to pit road. The team had been telling him they would go a bit further, then called this audible to come down before his teammate Kyle Busch. He said basically the car's off the splitter as they go green, get to the track on green flag stops, and then it starts to loosen up over the run. We'll see how this plays out, pitting earlier.
He pulled the 18 onto pit road as well now.
You have to imagine that's going to help the 19 leapfrog as 18, as they can have an amazing pit stop here.
Truex had cut the lead. It was only about half a second right there as Kyle Busch was trying to get around lap cars, Dylan.
And they've been right around the balance that they wanted here these last couple runs. But Kyle came on the radio during that green flag run and said, whatever this is, it is really, really good. So balance was still building a little bit tight, but Rowdy's happy behind the wheel. He should be. He's out front for tires and fuel. Chase Elliott in as well here just a little bit further down pit road. They'll make a 4-tire change as well.
The blend isn't even close. The 19 of Truex drives by the 18 already. 1 lap sooner is somewhat of an advantage. We'll have to check pit stop
fast
time.
on pit lane. We're going to have to do a pass through then inside 2.
Penalty for the 18. Too fast entering for the 18 of Kyle Busch.
You guys mentioned it, mistakes. You can't make mistakes at this point in the playoffs.
Such a challenge at pit road to get onto, and this is the second issue they've had tonight, Marty.
And then just reminded Denny Hamlin, make sure you do not speed. The lead, he was behind about 4 seconds behind his teammate Kyle Busch, obviously, who just got that penalty. Hamlin saying the car definitely turned better, but that entry into 1 is still our biggest issue for fresh Goodyear tires. And Chris Gabehart going longer on this run, putting on tires later. You see Kyle Larson still on the racetrack. The 20's been doing this all night long. We'll see if it pays off for the 11.
He's going to have to make the fresher tires work. Martin Truex Jr. will be his competition.
See Kyle Larson turn left, down onto the apron, onto pit road. Basically the last car of all the leaders to come to pit road.
Gives the lead back up to Martin Truex Jr. Marty.
Larson sort of the back half of the top 10 there and running and struggling with the race car, saying as soon as it loads up in the center of the corner, car just gets way too tight. He cannot get back to the gas like he would like to. For fresh Goodyear tires here, going later in the cycle, again seeing if these Goodyear tires will pay off for him. Kyle Busch serving that penalty. We'll see where he cycles out through all this as well.
Now basically after we see everybody on pit road, we see Martin Truex Jr. on the left-hand side. Has about an 8-second lead on Denny Hamlin. Hamlin came 3 laps after Truex. We'll see if 3-lap fresher tires will allow Hamlin to run Truex down. Really, the break for Truex is with the speeding penalty for Kyle Busch. That was the one that really had the chance to put the pressure on the 19. Now with the 18 out of the picture, now he has 50 laps and an 8-second lead to manage.
The fortunate thing for Kyle Busch, though, is that there's so many cars a lap down. He's basically sitting right in 10th place, the last car on the lead lap. So he's got about a half a straightaway, a little bit less than that maybe on the 19 car. If his crew chief just comes over the ring and says, hey man, just hang tight right here, maintain. But we're going to get an opportunity if we get a yellow to get some of these spots back.
You feel horrible after making that mistake. See Chase Elliott taking the battle right here to Ross Chastain. You feel horrible after making that mistake, but when they tell you, look, there's only 10 cars in the lead lap. This night is not over. It brings life back into you.
He has no clue where he's at on the racetrack, and those type of issues usually cost you, 20 to 30 positions. Well, if you came over the radio and said, look, man, we're still in 10th. Hang in there. Get the caution. We're going to figure this out. Kyle can still have a great result tonight.
Chastain in the 42 just in front of Joey Logano. Those two running 5th and 6th, but it's Martin Truex Jr. out in front. Parker.
Right, as you guys mentioned, he has a massive lead over his teammate there, Denny Hamlin, when Kyle Busch made that mistake. And as I said, he's been struggling when they get out of the pits with the car being on the splitter. So immediately when the team realized what had happened with Kyle Busch, they told him, look, you've got a big lead, just take care of the car. Now, that car has also been getting very loose over the long runs, but what this does is allows him to really take care of it. I mean, look, Denny Hamlin's been cutting into his lead a little bit each lap here, but he's able to take care of that car, and that most likely will pay off on the long run here for the 19 with this gift of the position being this far ahead of the 11 they were given there.
It's impressive the lead that these guys can build up. When they've got great race cars, we get these long green flag runs. See Truex right here off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Well, here's the second place car. Here he comes. I mean, we're used to seeing, or we love to see, cars close together running side by side, but you got to also appreciate when a driver and a team can perform so well and separate themselves from the field. It doesn't happen that often anymore.
Let's listen into Denny Hamlin's radio.
The 18th sped, you're in second, 8 seconds back, 3 laps better tires than the 19.
It's great clear communication to his driver, and that 8-second gap is now down to 7. 3 laps doesn't seem like a lot, but it's fresher tires. It's any sort of advantage, and with 43 laps to go, all of these guys have tires left. So a caution, and you're looking at pit stops and fresh adjustments. So continue to tell me about your race car. Let me know what you need on new tires especially, and just stay focused. Drivers, you know how easy it is. Jeff, you pointed out earlier, the 18 locked up his left front tire, right? Truex catches lap cars in the wrong time. You can give up chunks of time quickly.
Yeah, you really can. This racetrack, you catch somebody, takes forever to pass. We've seen that already, but you catch them 2 or 3 wide, and it can eat off 2 seconds easy. Hamlin's got to stay in the game here.
Yeah, he's already knocked 1 second off. Seems to be about a little more than a tenth of a second a lap faster, and with the better tires, he can be a little more aggressive with that lap traffic, Marty.
And Dale, I think Chris Gabehart was just playing any card he had left in his playbook here to be able to catch the 19. He saw 2 runs ago how much better the 19 was in the middle part of the run. Denny is still the faster car at the end of the run. So does he have enough time to be able to go catch that 19 car? And Gabehart keeps telling him those fresher tires will pay off. You're cutting off time every lap.
And that's what you hope is right now he's usually about 2/10 quicker. And you hope you maintain that over these last 40 laps, that it doesn't even out, that you don't lose the balance of the car.
And you hope the crew chief's telling you the truth. Sometimes, he tells you things just trying to motivate you, but this 19 is so far out there, he can't really see him yet. He can't really get his eyes on him to see him close it in.
I agree, but if you're telling me, you're 8 seconds back, well, now you're 7 seconds back, now you're 6.5 seconds. That kind of stuff right there is the best motivation for any driver to hear over the radio. You are driving you're driving right up to the leader.
I'm also telling him that the straightaway in front of Martin Truex Jr. is full of race cars, and they're racing, and we could catch him just like this situation right here, side by side, 2 lap cars.
Yeah, no place for the 19 to go. Martin Truex Jr. trying to hang on to that 6+ second lead over Denny Hamlin, but the lap traffic is going to make it difficult.
You see that 19 not able to open up the steering wheel and get up the racetrack. Anytime he comes up off the corner underneath the car, that's going to cost him a 10th.
This would give Martin Truex Jr. big momentum heading into the next round, and big momentum heading into next week. He and Sherry Pollock's longtime partner have been fighting childhood cancer and ovarian cancer. They have an event on Wednesday, Catwalk for a Cause, helping out kids with cancer, raising awareness. And again, that's this Wednesday. Very philanthropic. Martin Truex Jr., Sherry Pollock's, and right now I'm sure Martin Truex Jr. focused on getting a win and momentum right now in the playoffs, trying to help him advance to that round of 12.
Lead down to 5.6. Just dropping.
Big chunks too, right? Junior,
Yeah.
we're talking 3/10
He's
a lap.
catching him much faster than I would have thought. I don't know if 19's being told about this lead that he has to save some tire. I don't know where his car out. Maybe he's being really conservative, but we'll see.
Let's get a few quick updates. We'll start with Dylan.
And Ross Chastain continues to have a really solid night, runs in the 6th spot. They've, of course, been battling a tight condition for what seems like about the last hour or so, but Ross doing a great job just managing his equipment. We've talked about, of course, Chip Ganassi Racing going away at the end of this year. Keep in mind, that's kind of the group that revitalized and introduced everybody to Ross Chastain in the Xfinity Series. He won with Chip Ganassi Racing in their Xfinity car, really kind of put him on the map. Of course, now he's transitioned to their Cup Series, but I think he wants to send this team out on a good note, and certainly doing his part the last couple of weeks, Parker.
They're trying to chase him down. Right behind you, see in that white and green car is Kevin Harvick in the 4 car. This is probably the best this car has been throughout the race coming to them. They've thrown a lot of adjustments at this 4 car trying to make it turn the center, trying to hook up the rears on exit and on entry. Ronnie Childers and Kevin Harvick putting in a workmanlike day here, running just outside the top 5, Marty.
Kyle Larson sitting in the 8th position. Parker talking to Cliff Daniels before the playoffs. He said, listen, round 1, we need to have clean races and lay the foundation for the rest of our playoff. Just good, solid races in these first 3 races. He said, this race, Richmond, is our biggest challenge in the playoffs. We get through this race, we have a lot of good tracks coming up for the 5 team. I think they're pretty happy with the speed they have tonight, Dylan.
A little bit of deja vu for the car right behind him, Kyle Busch in the 18. Here in the spring, felt like they had a really good race car, had to overcome a pit penalty late, ended up in the 8th spot. Well, here they are again. After leading, speeding on pit road, Kyle shuffled back to 10th, trying to salvage anything they can out of this day. Again, remember, didn't feel like they needed to win. That certainly would have been nice, and they were close, but just wanted to finish this day off with a top 10 run if they can do it to give themselves a buffer. They're on their way to doing that right now, Parker.
And the driver trying to chase him down is Austin Dillon, who's the second of those 2 cars of the non-playoff cars in the top 15. An excellent run for this 3 car, one of Austin Dillon's best tracks. This team told me, look, over the next couple of races and weeks, we have one goal. That is find ourselves in victory lane. Anything we do that gets us closer there to winning a race is a key for us after missing the playoffs. They simply want to get in victory lane, and great runs like this build momentum to get there, Marty.
Parker, you know, as a race car driver, some days they're flat, the results are not flashy, but for Ryan Blaney to come here at Richmond, one of his toughest racetracks, and really run top 10 for much of the day, struggling with the handling of the race car, sitting in 11th, the first car 1 lap down. I think Blaney would take tonight. Sure, he would love to run better. Certainly they have the momentum coming into the playoffs, but this is a little bit of a win that Todd Gordon promised earlier in the week, saying, hey, we're going to run better at Richmond. They're running there right now. If they can get the free pass, who knows, Rick? They might wind up with his first ever Richmond top 10.
Yeah, the Penske drivers right now being led by Joey Logano, who is 5th, but then you do have Blaney and Keselowski running in the 11th and 12th position, although they are a lap down.
The whole time we've been going through the field here, we continue to watch that lead, and it's sort of hovered right here around 5.5 seconds. Denny gaining about 2/10 a lap, closed in really quickly, but now the lead sort of stabilized for Truex. Denny's dealing with his lap traffic, struggling just a little bit. Marty.
But Denny is still the fastest car on the racetrack and has been for the last 5 laps or so, Junior. Chris Gabehart told Denny Hamlin a moment ago, you got to carve up the traffic. That's going to be where everything is. And Denny very succinctly said back, I know what I need to do.
You mentioned that lead stabilized. That was all through traffic. Denny was not able to get through there the way he was going to need to run Truex down.
We're doing on lap time. Doing good. He got in, went in 5.5. He stretched it back to almost 6.
So Truex is very, very aware of that second place car and wants to know exactly what kind of lap times they're running compared to him. But now Denny's clear traffic, and you see that lead dropping again. 25 laps to go. I don't know if it's enough.
5 seconds, the gap between the top 2. Denny Hamlin, who had been out front 197 laps tonight. Now it's Martin Truex Jr. who has led 56 and counting with just 24 laps to go, and even less than that now as he comes out of 4th.
You talk about Martin Truex Jr. I mean, for a long time, 80 short track races. That's a long time. Winless. And then 5 of the last 12. So whatever combination of setup, confidence, car balance, you know, it's multiple things. He just didn't wake up one day and said, you know what, I'm going to start winning at the short tracks. There's some sort of feel he found, and he's been able to get it delivered to him time and time again by his crew chiefs. And when he gets a car like this, he makes it work for him. So, I mean, that's an impressive run by this 19 car. We wondered, Jeff, you and I were very vocal, right? He won early in the year, kind of disappeared in the summer. We didn't know what would happen. This has put it back on the map, right?
Now, what he wants is this thing just to go green. Truex, if you talk to him, he says, hey, we run good enough to win. We just don't finish races. We have a problem in every race, and this is a great example with 22 to go. This thing can just go green. They're fine, but if it's not, they got to have the right pit stop. He's got to have the right restart. Everything has got to go right in order to win, even though he's got a fast race car.
Yeah, he arguably had the best car last week at Darlington. And it is interesting to me. I always thought that was so quirky how he never won at the short tracks for so long, coming from the short track ranks. I mean, race modifieds and Busch North, all his life running short tracks until he broke into the Xfinity Series. So has that background, and now he's starting to be able to get the cars that he needs to be able to go out there and win these races.
See Larson going by Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick, not a great night, but a solid night. Remember, when these playoffs started, he was seated 16th. This thing's in tonight. He's sitting there in 6th.
And he had no pace. You know, most of the year, this whole organization's kind of struggled. 5 cars slipping up the racetrack a little bit there. But Rodney and those guys seem to have buckled down and are giving Harvick better equipment. I'm sure they want to improve on that even more, but doing a really, really good job here the first two races of round 1.
You see that playoff bubble on the left side of your screen. Harvick's name not even on there because, as you mentioned, currently 6th. But Kurt Busch is above the cut line. And remember when we interviewed Kurt at the beginning of this race, more or less, when he went out so early, he was thinking that it was a must-win situation when he goes to Bristol. Well, right now, he's still above the cut line.
Right in front of Truex, the 8 of Tyler Reddick. The reason that matters is because Reddick has just enough pace in the 15th position that Truex hasn't been able to just attack him and get by him, and it slowed the leader down. That last lap was an 80. Denny Hamlin back there is in the 60s, so the lead now down to 4.7 seconds. That's still a big gap with 17 laps to go, but Dale, you've mentioned as tires age, it's harder and harder to work through this lap traffic.
And Truex to the inside of the 8 car. Finally, he was able to clear Tyler. Now again up underneath the 52 here.
Trying to get by Josh Bilicki.
Yeah. So Josh is going to allow him to get by. When you look out the windshield, Martin's got several car lengths before he catches the next car. And we'll be able to see if Denny can try to close that gap a little bit more now, but the 19's in clean air. Denny closing in on some traffic himself. So he has Austin Dillon in there in front of him. A car with decent pace tonight. Those are the ones that seem to give these lead lap cars trouble.
Dillon right now, the first car a lap down. He's running 10th. So only 9 cars on the lead lap right now. That's the pace that Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin have put on this field.
But we've always known too that the guys that are, you know, like Austin that just went a lap down, they race the leader a little bit harder. They're trying to stay on the lead lap. And when Denny gets to him, not that they're not going to, you know, race him as well, but maybe not quite as hard because he's not the leader putting them a lap down. Denny to the inside and clear the 3.
Gap still right around 4.7 seconds, and now coming up on 13 laps to go here at Richmond.
Impressive second half of the race for Martin Truex Jr. I mean, Denny Hamlin's led 197 laps in this race, and I'm not sure if the adjustments got behind or if the 19 got better. But either way, I didn't know if anybody had the pace for the 11, and the 19 has just outran him.
I'd imagine the busiest person at the racetrack right now is the spotter for this 19 car. And so he's running up and down the spotter stand to all these cars. Drew Herring is running up and down the spotter stand to the 47. You know, to all these teams saying, hey man, give us, what lane can you give us? Give us the top, give us the bottom, you know, help us out. Try not to race us off the corner. Allow Truex to get by cleanly and quickly.
And Drew Herring is a former driver, so Drew knows exactly what Martin Truex needs right here.
This 47 is going to be there on corner exit. Martin's going to have to struggle on throttle there to get off the corner, but we'll clear him down here into turn 1.
More than anything, Martin Truex Jr. needs this one to go green.
With 11 to go, yeah. He's got just under a 4-second lead. All the chips are on the table right now for Truex and this 11 car, Denny Hamlin.
It's been a 135 lap green flag run, so equipment's getting tired. Drivers,
here, 10 more.
Here you go, 10 to go. Drivers getting tired.
Denny's got no traffic right now in front of him. Truex trying to work through a lot of traffic.
3.5 seconds, the gap.
But Denny has to pass these same cars as well. And like I said, they might not make it as difficult as they did for Truex, but he still has to go through a lot of traffic as well.
Larson trying to get 6th away from Chastain here.
Yeah, not the race-winning Kyle Larson that we've been accustomed to seeing this year, but just solid. Not putting themselves in a hole that they have to dig out of in this first round. Doing what they need. Take any drama away.
Oh, Chastain to the left rear quarter panel.
As I just said, no drama.
Wow.
There was drama.
Larson's going to be like, come on,
what
man. I passed you clean. What's the deal?
Larson's waving.
Yeah.
Or Ross is waving to the 5 like, I'm sorry, man, my bad.
But they never slow down and let you have the spot back.
Well, this 5's going to probably get back to him. We'll see if he's as nice.
He is back to him. He's on the inside, and will he complete the pass? He does.
Yeah, I think Chastain smartly when he got back to him, just gave him the spot.
I agree, yeah.
We all make mistakes, right? You all make mistakes. He didn't mean to go in there and get into him, but he did. And so
guys,
just don't race him that hard.
It's 2.8 seconds now. The gap back from Truex to Hamlin.
That's a lot of time still with only 6 laps to go.
I go for tires, man.
Here Truex say he just doesn't have any tires left. You wonder if they'll fall off a cliff. It would shock me, though, with a clear track in front of the 19.
Yeah, the 11 has a couple cars to get through. A little bit of traffic. The 19 pretty clear in front of him.
We're in good shape here. You pulled us from the last couple here.
So the 19.
Man, calm down.
There you go. Truex has a clear traffic in front of him. The 10 car is the next car in front. I don't think he catches him.
I'm guessing that was humor out of Martin with 6 laps to go. Calm down. 5 laps to go now.
So there's the lead. It's Denny trying to get there, man, but I just don't. There's not enough time. Even though he's had the faster car this entire run, Truex is out of tires. Denny needs another 10 or 15 laps.
Yeah, I agree. Another 10 laps. This will get pretty sketchy. There's only 1 car between the 19 and the 11. But think about Martin Truex Jr., what he's going to be able to do here. Denny Hamlin assures a spot in the next round. If Truex can win today, he'll be assured a spot. For a company like Joe Gibbs Racing to have 2 cars they don't have to stress about in Bristol, very good for the organization.
You see Truex. Cars moving around a lot on corner exit. There's Coach Gibbs. Done a great job. Unbelievable leader. Came into this sport, didn't know anything about racing. He's smart enough to put really good people around himself and then trust them to do the job.
Think about the way the day started for Martin Truex Jr. We've talked about all of these playoff drivers and having issues and what they've had to go through. Well, Martin Truex Jr. initially jumped the start of the race. Was to the start-finish line prior to Denny Hamlin, who was supposed to get there first. As you see 2 laps to go, had to go to the back. And Martin Truex Jr. has fought his way back up to the front. Great pit stops by his crew, and now a 1.9 second lead.
I know Denny probably isn't any more comfortable, but that 19 car is out of tires. He has got his hands full trying to get the power down on corner exit here.
That's the gap between 1 and 2. 1 lap to go at Richmond. Martin Truex Jr. looking for his 4th win of 2021. And a spot in the round of 12. A win locks you in. It's going to be Martin Truex Jr. sliding all the way across the finish line at Richmond. driver who we question, will he ever get that short track win? Now one of the most dominant on short tracks.
You might have called it a lap early there. Right on, boys. Way to be. Way to be. I appreciate it, man.
1.5 second win. Martin Truex Jr. James Small all smiles as his coach. Win number 4, and that's 5 more playoff points for Martin Truex Jr. that will help him move through these playoffs. He's into the round of 12. Kyle Larson has enough points to lock himself into the next round. Checkered flag moment brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Martin Truex Jr. What a career he has had. Wasn't that long ago when he didn't know if he would be able to continue with his dream of being a Cup driver. And now 31 wins to his career. He's currently 28th in the all-time list behind Dale Jarrett. DJ has 32 wins. Martin Truex Jr. now with 31. Joe Gibbs Racing finishes 1, 2, 3 with Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell. Big night for Bell. Great crowd on hand here tonight. Appreciative of what Martin Truex Jr. was able to do as he'll stop on the finish line. Grab the checkered flag. So much is made of momentum in sports, and when you get into the playoffs, you're looking for it. And he'll be heading to Bristol next weekend with a guaranteed spot in the next round. But if he can grab more playoff points, that's the goal right now.
Get our little warm in the burnouts.
Seeing the steam and the water spray out of the base of the windshield. Helmet is off. Martin Truex Jr. now able to celebrate, and we'll hear from him. Good morning.
With the stars and stripes on his car, 20th anniversary of 9/11, Martin said this one means a lot. How about in front of these Richmond fans to win on the 20th anniversary? A big time for the team as well, Martin.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a big day, Marty. It's a big, it's an important day in our history, and I think all of us here, yeah, we're proud to win, and this car is amazing, and there's so many people to thank. But what a day to win on, and it reminds you the honor it is, the privilege it is to get to come out here and do this. All these great fans that come out here, we couldn't do any of these kind of things without the men and women that take care of us, and all the first responders, police officers, firefighters, you know, the military, you name it. NASCAR is very patriotic, and we're very proud, and Johnny Morris is very patriotic. That's why this thing's red, white, and blue. So I'm very proud of everybody to be able to do this today.
How much of the finish of this night, finishing with the win, was about the start of this night and making up for that when you had to come down pit road right off the start?
That was frustrating. I'm not going to lie, but I knew we'd have a good enough car to overcome it. It felt pretty good those first couple laps. So just one of those things, you know, you got to put it out of your mind and you got to go race. And we knew there was a lot on the line tonight. So I'm very happy to get to do this and go to Bristol without any worries. Next week is always fun.
You JGR drivers pick good times to win, don't you? I mean, it's been since May at Darlington, long time for the 19 team.
Yeah, it's been a while, Marty. We talked last week about how much speed we've had in these things, and just thanks to all my guys and everybody at JGR, Toyota TRD, Bass Pro, Auto Owners, Reese's Fine Foods, Oakley, Textron, everybody that helps us. We couldn't do it without them. So we're very lucky to get to do this, as I mentioned, and very proud to win here tonight.
On the 20th anniversary of 9/11, Martin Truex Jr. gets one done here at Richmond. The fans cheering him on. Truex soaking this one in a little bit, Rick.
The 41-year-old will be headed to Ruoff Mortgage Victory Lane. When we talked to him before the playoffs started, he said, age doesn't matter. Right now he's showing. He gives a Martin Truex Jr. fan the checkered flag. And a thumbs up to the fans here at Richmond. A big night for the 19 team, as everything working out for them today and into the nights. Martin Truex Jr. grabbing a win, locking himself into the next round of the playoffs. Big, as he mentioned, he doesn't have to go to Bristol and worry about the finish there. He can focus on getting as many points, playoff points, as he can to help him advance out of the round of 12. Big win, more playoffs, and more interviews when we come back. Taking a look at the Cup playoff standings presented by Xfinity, and now 3 names in yellow. They will advance to the round of 12. And look at the names below the cut line: Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Michael McDowell. Kurt Busch thought he was in a must-win situation when he heads to Bristol. He was first out, finishes 37th in tonight's race, but ultimately now he just has to finish in front of those other 4.
Yeah, I think Michael McDowell has to be thinking win. William Byron has to be thinking great stage 1, great stage 2, and see how it shakes out from there. On the opposite side, Joey Logano at plus 40 has to be feeling okay, but I'm going to tell you, even Blaney, Harvick, Elliott, we're going to Bristol. I mean, it's anything can happen in Thunder Valley, and it happens quick, so you can lose a lot of points, just like we saw what happened to Kurt Busch today.
All right, let's go down to Dylan. He's with Denny Hamlin.
Was a win last week at Darlington, runner-up today at Richmond for Denny Hamlin. Led a race high 197 laps, but just needed a couple extra ones at the end there, it looked like, to close the gap on the 19.
Yeah, just a couple more, but our pit stops were a little slow there, and we lost about 2 or 3 seconds, maybe 4 on pit road, those 2 stops, and that's about a second and a half behind. So I mean, we're coming. Just we got off track with our car right there in the middle stages of the race, but overall Chris and the team made great adjustments there at the end on the FedEx Camry. Just need just a couple more laps. That's all.
I don't want to say that you guys went through a lull in the summer, because that's probably not the right word, but I think this first and a second place is kind of what we expected more consistently from you guys, just based on how you ran at the beginning of the year. Do you feel like you guys are back kind of on track where you want to be?
Well, I mean, it's go time now. I mean, ultimately, it's the time where you have to bring your best. And, the whole JGR team, NASCAR cars for all of us today, and we just I really wish we would have got 2 in a row, but regardless, still a great day for our team.
Yeah, great run, absolutely. Second today for Hamlin.
Well, Dylan, it wasn't the blistering speed we're used to seeing from Kyle Larson, but I would argue, Kyle, a step forward for the 5 team tonight. I think it winds up, what is it, 6th place finish? Happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot better than we were here at Richmond earlier in the year. And, man, after the beginning of the race, I thought I was going to have a really good shot to win, but we kind of lost the balance there and got it back a little bit there at the end. So probably finished where we deserved. The 18 kind of had his problems, so maybe we finished 1 spot better. But, yeah, I mean, not a bad day. Go to Bristol and know that we're locked in is nice. So try to be aggressive and get a win next week.
When you come to a racetrack where you know, hey, we just want to improve and that's it, is that really the only goal to think about, hey, that's all we want out of the evening is just to get better than we were the last time there?
Yeah, I mean, for as bad as we were the last time we were here, I think to have a win in your expectations would be difficult to do, but I think we exceeded what I thought we would come here and do. I thought we'd run, it'd be a good day to run around 10th. Where I feel like I ran 4th to kind of 7th once I got there kind of all race. So good day for our HinterCars.com Chevy, and like I said, looking forward to Bristol now.
Step forward for Kyle Larson and the 5 team here at Richmond, and yes, Bristol, they should be very good there.
Up and down day for sure for Christopher Bell. Certainly battled some handling gremlins at the start of this one. I know you weren't very happy initially, but sounded like by the end got this car pretty happy, for you. Were you happy with it by the end of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously all of our Joe Gibbs Racing cars were extremely fast, so hats off to everyone back there at the shop, Toyota, TRD, that gives us the resources that we need to come out here and do good. We knew going into Richmond that this is one of our better racetracks, so we needed to capitalize on that and get all the points we could. So really proud of everyone on this DeWalt Camry. They worked hard. Start of the race was a little bit disappointing to give up the stage points in stage 1, but we did good. We got some points there in stage 2 and got a good finish out of it.
And we go to Bristol next week, another one of the tracks that you're pretty good at. How do you guys feel about where you're at? And you're, I think, plus 17 to the good, so you're in a good spot with points.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about it, and Bristol is a really good racetrack for our company and me as a driver, but, it's a little bit, it's just you can get caught up in stuff so easily at Bristol. So, it's nice to have a buffer, and hopefully we can go to Bristol and have an uneventful event.
Christopher Bell completes a Joe Gibbs sweep. He comes home in the 3rd spot today.
Yeah, 1-2.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.